in the office.
She's what? She's here.
Okay, if you'll join me in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your attendance. If anybody wishes to sign in and has it at this point, you can. I'm not requesting that you do it. I see we're all present and accounted for. At this point, we'll slide to item number 4, the agenda modifications. Do we have anything that we need to add at this point?
Right. I would like to add an executive session right before the confirmation of our new clerk treasurer personnel discussion. It's on the second page between E and F.
Right. Certainly. Yep. Okay, we can move that one that's number 11 and put it up there. So we don't have to address the second one. Perfect. You got that, ma'am?
We also need to vote on the pro tem and the finance officer.
Okay. Put that on fee resolution of VH. Okay. Thank you, guys. Okay. At that point, no other agenda modifications, except I'll entertain a motion to accept January 5th council meeting minutes.
I will motion that we accept the meeting minutes from January.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved, Pete seconded. Okay. To accept the meeting minutes, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign, agreed. Item 6, public comments. Anybody got anything from the audience? Darlene, you're up first. Thank you.
Not long ago, we, the community, had 2 opportunities to make public comments and to speak our concerns. You, the council, elected to take away one of those opportunities. The one you took away was at the end of the meeting, squelching our voices until the next meeting. I respectfully request that you reinstate our voice at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Darlene. Doug?
Hello, everybody. Well, I guess I'll bring it up like this. On December 24th, I was feeling a little better. I was going to get some Christmas cards and hand deliver them, so I went out and bought some, and I came home and my phone was ringing. I answered it, and it was the Lewiston Police Department. They had found my 42-year-old stepson dead in a motel room. And he had mental illness, and he took a lot of medication for that, but he'd also been taking something that you can buy at a convenience store. It's called Kratom. They sell it right up here at our store. It says right on the back of it, not fit for human consumption. And I know I was watching the local news this morning, and I seen that the council on Spokane had tabled it, banning it until next month. Lewiston's working on it right now, and I guess my stepson, I asked him one time, why do you eat, take all that Red Bull? And the medication they have them on makes them feel so tired and so run down that they do the Red Bull and stuff like this just to feel awake. That this stuff is killing people out there, And here, pass it around. You can buy it right up here at the store. Anybody can look and then buy it. And it says right on the back, the FDA says not fit for human consumption. I think we ought to do something about it if they're selling it right at our convenience store. So I don't know. I wanted to bring that up. Maybe it'd be something that the council might want to kick around. But it sounds like it's pretty dangerous for, you got the people at the care center on Buku, medication. Are they out there buying it? And I had noticed with my stepson, the last 3 times I talked to him before Christmas, he was really agitated. You know, something was wrong. I was worried he was getting into meth or something like that. It was that stuff. Then the last thing I want to bring up, and I'll never bring it up again, is the backhoe. I was accused of bringing it up for political reasons. Dave, I watched you take that backhoe back there. I was out in my yard and I watched you. You can argue with me all day long, call me a liar, do whatever you want, but you caused $3,000 worth of damage to the backhoe. I or anybody else would pay for it. Why don't you?
No comment, so.
That's all.
Great, thanks, Doug. Thank you, Doug. Okay. All right, any more public comments at this point? That it? Oh, you're gonna wait for your.
I'm gonna wait for my crate.
At 30, at 26 bucks, I don't blame you.
Well, I just thought I needed a prop, so I wanted to see if they had, and they did. They even got big bottles of it, they got little bottles of it.
Wow.
And Doug's coroner had 2 cases where that contributed to the death.
How can that even be legal?
I tried to get it banned in Pullman, I got nowhere. What they do is just change the name.
You know, and it's what I heard, I kind of got into it a little bit, that if you take a certain amount, it's like, you know, cocaine or something like that. Then if you take more of it, it's like fentanyl, you know, so it sounds like a really wonderful thing to have floating around out there for our kids and people that don't know better.
Doug, I just want to say, really sorry to hear the loss of
Thank you.
your stepson, and thank you for bringing this to our attention.
In 2020, I lost my oldest stepson to drug use, you know, and then my wife passed away from cancer, and my mother-in-law.
Childproof woods, Dan.
And now,
Yeah, what you put on the
I wanted to see what
But notice that it's got the name change. It's freedom, that's where I know that.
Well, thanks, Doug, appreciate that. Okay, any more comments? Do we have any community group updates at this point? Okay, roll through the unfinished business. What do we know on the union contract, Pete?
Couple things. We're continuing to negotiate and we have some meetings attempting to get those scheduled very soon and to work on portions of the contract, so that's good. More importantly, I've become aware that you have called down to the negotiator's office in the office and basically insisted or demanded updates on our budget, the 10,000 we allocated. I'm surprised because the council has control, we control the budget, we approve the budget, and the committee that is helping negotiate that is quite aware of it, and we keep the council aware of it as well as needed. I'm just perplexed because since you are not part of the negotiation and the council has that authority, I'm surprised that you're doing this. What is the reason?
Well, thank you for your concern. I think as a representative of the city, as the guy that pays the bills, that pays the bills to be paid, I just thought it was in my purview to keep an accounting as to how it's going. So all the councilmen kept apprised as to where we're at on the invoices.
Well, there was the last invoice was at late November, early December. There really hasn't been much more. So when I talked to, as far as that we have accrued, because it wasn't, you brought the one in for him to be paid.
Right.
And then since that time, I don't know that there's been a whole lot of hours accrued. I'm assuming that the next invoice will come right after this next week or so. Then when I talk to John Glass, it would be after our next negotiations.
Right.
Then there will be some hours. There's been very few hours since the last time.
And we have not exceeded the 10,000.
Did you?
No, it's, I don't think it was that recent that we've seen a bill, but
It was.
that's
The one we've got.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you asked me the other day, and we've been working on it. We asked him, and I told you the other day, it looked that we had maybe 20 to 30% left of that budget. And so I thought that would be good enough for the time being. There will be a full accounting for the whole council and you as well. We're trying to get this last negotiation meeting lined up. Hopefully we can get things done pretty soon, but we're gonna, as things go on, we wait for their billing, we let them, they've been giving us a lot of bang for the buck. We've got an awful lot for the money so far. We've not used it up completely. We're not just to the point where if we need more, I'll express that at a meeting with all the council, or we'll talk to the council, that's all part of the bargaining unit. And they'll be part of that. So that's kind of where we are. Then if we need more, we'll come during regular meeting. And if we need more, we'll request more and the council can approve that. That's kind of where we are. We're not trying to hide anything. They go along and they'll let us know where we are. If they think they need more money or we're getting close, they'll let us know. And we're aware of it. And I know that the kind of how hard they've been working, as well as you, but it just takes time. I thought it would be shorter than this, but we have no control of it.
I think it's a little bit odd that he contacted you and let you know rather than maybe working to give me some sort of a number that I could look at.
Well, he was under the impression that the management committee would take care of that for him. We would pass them on to you. And he would prefer to use the management committee to take care of that, pass it on to you and the council if needed. That's his standard operating procedure.
You don't think that that's appropriate at this point?
I think it's very appropriate.
Well, you don't think it's appropriate to pass that on at this point?
I have. I mean, as much as we know, we should have not exceeded the limits that the council approved.
Okay.
No, I thought one of the 2 meetings in December, I thought, because I remember Roy asking about that.
Right.
And either you were gonna give him something or he was gonna call, and I guess he called. So so he called and wanted to know where it was.
Well, he just says that
One of those 2 meetings, we gave him permission, or you were gonna give him papers to show where.
well, we got some billing in, a couple of billings came through, and I thought that was good enough. He said he was gonna call, I don't know how many times you called, my impression is you called a number of times.
3, I believe.
Well, that, they prefer to have the committee take care of that, and then work through the council. Since we're in the negotiating portion of the council, all they have to do is ask, since they're part of the overall process of approving this contract is coming, which has not been negotiated completely. They'll have the opportunity in either an executive type thing, because you're negotiating, or eventually in full session to approve any additional money.
So Brian, I don't know if this will help. I did ask Tony recently that if he could give us an estimate of what he thinks if we were gonna go over the 10,000, if he has an idea. I think he, because like Pete said, where they're estimating now,
Right.
there has been a lot of extra hours until we get into these last few negotiations to really turn in, to
Okay,
get to
that's
us.
what I was trying to find out.
Same here. We're trying to find out the same thing. So, I think he was just confused that you were calling him multiple times because,
Well, actually, I never talked to him. I talked to his secretary, who was gonna forward it to his bookkeeper. And the last one I talked to, I think I got his assistant, who then was gonna get a hold of Tony. Tony has never called me back.
Okay.
Now, so question I asked, if one of the other council members were to call and ask for an accounting, would that be accessible to them?
I don't know. He's been working through the negotiation team, I suppose. I don't know. But I mean, I don't know that we have any more to give you because they haven't written out a bill.
Well, that's what I don't know. Because I don't have anything. I don't have anything.
We have discussed it with him. I get the impression you're in process, or you're not going to tell me, or there's some kind of obstructive process.
Well,
I don't get where you're coming from.
lack of information causes people to wonder. And we talked a couple meetings ago about getting some of this information where you guys are at, and I didn't get anything. We had a meeting again and I didn't get anything. That's when I called.
Well, we gave an approximation.
It's the first of the month, it was first of January, or closing in. I thought, oh, they're gonna be billing pretty quick. Most companies bill the end of the month, right?
I think this is being billed by the project, not necessarily monthly.
Don't know that. That's another thing I was trying to find
Well,
out.
that's what we're trying to find out, but
And-
same thing back with the LNI funds. I mean, we didn't even know that
Well,
there were
that's not
LNI funds,
good.
and until you had the numbers, you said you weren't gonna share them with us.
Correct.
So we're trying to communicate, we don't have exact numbers, as soon as we have to get the bill, we'll get them to you. So I guess if we're missing something, help us
Okay.
out there.
But the
If
answer,
another council member were to call, would they get a
if
response?
it's a management committee, yes. If it's not, he would check with us first.
And who's on the management committee?
Myself, Dan, David, and Shelley.
Gotcha. All right,
I mean, we're there as council members and so we're doing the best we can. And nobody's trying to, I think that the city, as it turns out, we're under the 10,000. We haven't exceeded that. And he'll let us know exactly what the budgetary restrictions or needs are. We'll bring that to the council and to you and see what the council wants to do.
okay,
Thank you.
all right. So no progress. Okay, noise ordinance, I see Rick's not with us today. I was assuming he was gonna be here, but things can change. All right,
I have.
you've got something?
Yeah, we need to change that instead of the noise and go into, it's gonna be harassment, is what Eric wants to change it to. The noise, you won't catch anything. So I handed out a harassment thing that I could pull out going through, and it's under RCW. And they got it pretty well narrowed down right to the thing. And I showed everybody, and I think we give it to Eric and then get going on this. And get this into the city ordinances, because I don't, Eliza says she hasn't seen anything like this. And so I think get this into the city ordinance and find out what Eric wants to do on it. And then we can add to it or whatever later on, but just get this into it because it has clauses in there that what harassment really is. And there's the pieces I gave you are just a part of it. Because there's other pieces that's criminal. And that the criminal one is when the person is harassing you, is taking verbal comments to you and using cameras or whatever it may be to watch you. And so it goes even further than what I handed out. So I think I'd like to hand this put into the city ordinances and but have Eric look at it first.
Okay. Okay,
This will be on the agenda for next time, though, is what you're saying.
I was gonna try to do that.
We did, we,
So, but instead of the noise, let's put it under harassment.
I do, good idea.
all right. Thank you. I guess I'll get one at some point. Matt? WWTP facilities plan options.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I want to take a quick second. This is Hunter Carroll. He's a new employee for me. So just letting you know, got somebody else under my umbrella here. So growing and getting bigger. So that's good. What I'm here for is I got a copy of the latest draft of the plan, and it's a lot better. But I sent comments around. Did you guys all get a copy of the letter? Had a bunch of comments that I thought you guys should think about before you get to a point where you're making a decision. And so there's lots of things about options and alternatives and things in here. And so I wanted to make sure you guys understood what I was seeing when I was reading it as part of that. So you guys, as you were thinking about it, one of the major things, and it's the first comment, is, there's an assumption about the base sanitary flow in that. And they've got 76,237 gallons. Most of the flow that we're talking about not being able to be discharged is during the summer months. And historically, those summer months, for 2024, the average flow during that time was 57,000 gallons. And in 2025, it was 59,000 gallons. And so by using 76,000 gallons per month or per day, it's about 30% more. And so all the planning done in this document is planning for about 30% more flow than what you're actually seeing during those months. Now, it doesn't say you can't do that. It just means dollars. And so it's kind of a risk assessment. Do you want to take the historical flows that you've seen at the plant as a baseline with maybe a 10% factor of safety just to make sure, or do you want to take this other number that is in there, 76,000 gallons a day, and use that? There's nothing wrong with doing that, but I just want to make sure you guys understand that by you doing that, it's about 30% more flow and more. I mean, it's not more cost. Well, it is more cost, but it's not 30% more cost. It's just a more. You're going to store more flow. You're going to land apply more flow. You're going to do all these things with more planned flow that you might not actually experience. And so it's just like something you should think about is what level of risk, what level of assessment do you think is appropriate? To me, 76 is a little too much. If you were somewhere between like 60 or 65 for the base flow, that still gives more than historically what we've seen, but it's not 30%. It's more 10 to 15%. So something to think about as you're evaluating. And that one decision is going to affect everything else from there. You're going to store less flow. You're going to treat less flow.
I got one thing while you're on that subject right there. We still have a lot of I&I, right?
You do, yeah.
So if you go at, let's say 10%.
Yeah.
And then if we fix the I&I, that'll make that 10% really better.
It will, but the flows we're talking about are during the summer. The most flows we're talking about during the summer when you're not experiencing I&I. On that first page of that, in July of 23, you had 62,000 gallons. August was 60, September is 63, October is 60. So those are all 60 to 65. Once we had the new lift station online at the plant, now you're 52, 48, 50, 58. 25 was 53, 52, 54, 71 in October is a little high, but for the most part, those months aren't seeing what they're recommending as the base flow. The base flow, I think, is somewhere closer to 50, realistically. And then the I&I flows that we're still, we're talking with Stephen about lining some manholes that are leaking right now, even to lower that more. But you're right, Dave. If you plan for that 76, or if we said that 10%, and we do fix some of this other leaking in the manholes that we're talking about, that number would be even less. So there's nothing wrong with using what they have in there, the 76. It's just conservative. I think my opinion, it's overly conservative. So and when you do that, and then you add in factors of safety after that, and you add in growth, and you add in this, you get to a point where you're paying a lot for something that you're not going to use.
Where did they get their information and their data from?
They used the entire year for that base sanitary flow, which during the winter months, we do see more infiltration into the system. But there's also things that skew that number. When the creek floods and the manholes flood, that drives up that number quite a bit. But it's not something that's going to happen during summer, which is the critical time we're talking about. So,
Because of the added lagoon size.
the no discharge period.
Right.
Yeah, that time period is from June to October, and the creek doesn't flood June to October. So it's my opinion that it's overly conservative. I think it would be better to dial it back and save some dollars. You got to include a factor of safety in there, but I think it's just overkill by the time, because there's other factors of safety that are built in as they go along. So they started here, and then they have other things that are joined in. So
So Matt,
Yeah.
If we decreased it, what, do you have a percentage of dollars, like it would be a 10% less
don't-
than estimate, or would you have to really dig into it?
I'd have
be
to
able
really dig into it. There's some other things with their costs that I don't think I could take their numbers and decrease it. Maybe we calculate a volume differently, but there's other things that factor into their net present value, their cost with O&M and things that they're in this that I think still need work that we can't compare apples to apples yet.
So other things might need to come up in that report, and well, some things could come
yeah,
down. So so right now, it's maybe we're still looking around the same amount of dollars, but in just different.
Maybe there's things that I think aren't, and then I'll talk a little bit more about those in a minute. But that was one that at the very start, that basis dictates everything through the report, and I think it's overly conservative. That's just my thought. I don't know. I don't know how Ecology would feel about it. They might suggest it's overly conservative too, but I can't say that for sure. So, but that's like the one comment that's going to affect everything else in the report. If you guys come back and say, hey, I think this number is too high, I think we need to dial it down to something and because it's just too much factor of safety and too conservative, that's going to affect all the calculations throughout the rest of the report. So just that's kind of the base one. I think there's another thing I think, and I don't know if you guys were confused, but they have 6 alternatives laid out, but you really don't have 6 alternatives. Alternative 1, you have to do that if you're going to keep the existing plant and upgrade it. The MBR, if you do an MBR, you don't have to do alternative 1 because that replaces it, but everything else you have to do alternative 1. And so it's not really an alternative, it's a requirement other than the MBR plan. So I think they need to reorganize these so it's a little more clear about, you have basically 3 options in the way I defined it. There's upgrade to the existing treatment facility to meet new standards and meet reliability. There's construction of a new MBR plant, and then there's the third option is a new lagoon treatment plant. Those are basically your 3 options. If you do, any of those 3, there's sub options that go. You're going to have to do something to dispose of the effluent, whether it's land application, whether it's storing it, discharging it, whatever that is. But those 3 options, you have to pick one of those to dispose of the effluent. You also have to figure out under those 3 options what you're going to do with the solids, whether you're going to do a belt filter press or you're going to do solids drying beds or what you're going to do. But those aren't real alternatives. Those are sub pieces to these 3 alternatives I talked about: upgrade the existing plant, new MBR, or lagoon treatment. So I think reorganizing that so that it's clear that those are your 3 options, and then those other pieces are viable things under each of the other options, but they're not standalone alternatives. So,
Matt, where do we stand if we have an issue with land acquisition? In other words, we can't get it.
exactly. That's a big piece in here. That, one of my comments is, if that has a lot of dollar impact. If you can't find somebody who's willing to sell property at a reasonable cost, in the circle roughly that they've drawn, if it's 5 miles away, that's a lot of dollars. You've got to pump something out there, or what you're going to do with that. So that's a big question that's going to affect the dollars in here. And
to add to that, the golf course, when we talked about last meeting, said they'd be willing to do the recycled one.
okay,
That's 58 acres.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew about that one.
well, I hadn't talked. That's one of my comments in here is that's not in the reporting where about potentially using that at the golf course. There's I talked to a process engineer to figure out if that was a possibility, and what she said was yes, it is a possibility. They have to do a cloth filter, which is an additional treatment step, but it's not a membrane type. It's a fairly inexpensive, and then you have to do secondary disinfection, which could be UV disinfection. So you have double disinfection. You keep your chlorine disinfection, and you go to UV disinfection and this cloth filter. But once you do that, then you can land apply it at the golf course. It's nobody should be drinking it, but it's clean water. It's not going to smell like sewage. It might have a little odor to it, but it's not going to be something where people are going to be grossed out. But if we could do that, that would be a great option for
Except for how much
disposal.
would it cost to go from the plant to the golf course?
Yeah.
That's,
You'd have to put in a purple pipe from the plant to the golf course. Probably $1 million or $2 million somewhere in there. I mean, it's a long ways. I don't have a number for you, but I did some rough, and I thought it was somewhere between $1 million and $2 million. You'd have to have a booster station, but you also don't have land and to buy. You could use that. And the 58 acres, I think, would be sufficient. Most of the year, October would be on the edge. You don't get a lot of growth in October. Land up, you spray water on there, it might freeze. I mean, you might end up storing that water and then discharging it. So there's some things to consider in there, but I think that is a very viable option that wasn't discussed in here at all. How much that option might be. That's a land disposal option that wasn't vetted in here. And I think that's something that really should be included in the analysis. How much does that cost versus finding a piece of land that you can buy, number one, is reasonable cost, number two, and by the time you get there, you might have the same amount of pipe as you need to go to the golf course where you don't have to buy land.
well, if the city could get an easement or own the railroad, it goes from A to B.
Mhm.
Is if we had the railroad.
That's gonna be in-ground pipe.
Not very deep though.
How deep? Well, you're only going to use it during the summer when it's not cold.
2 feet.
You could go pretty shallow with it as long as you drained it during the summer in October when you're done using it, because you're not worried about it freezing.
How close can we run it to the creek? Because that railroad line runs right by the creek. Does that matter?
Might be easier.
It would matter, but it would fall under shoreline jurisdiction. And then there's a prescribed, the city has a prescribed guidance for that. And utilities is an allowed use in the shorelines.
Okay.
So I think that's a decision point you guys need to have to be able to make an informed decision about that. How much is that going to cost versus trying to buy land somewhere and buying an irrigation system that you have to maintain. I know you own the golf course, you maintain the irrigation system out there, but you're already doing that. You're not adding a new irrigation system, whether it's a circle or rolling sprinklers or whatever. You're not adding something.
You had the MBR, which would be less space at the plant.
Yeah.
And then that area down there, put a nice pond in down there, holding tank or whatever it is. You'd have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then store it for the winter months and pump it to the golf course.
Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily store it during the winter months. You want to store it during the summer, in June to October. That's when you have to. But you could also have it set up. You could do a couple things. You could early spring start irrigating with it. You could opt not to discharge April, May, and send that to the golf course, and you irrigate with it instead. This gives you a little cushion factor that you're not discharging at that time.
But that's something you'll have to figure out.
Yeah. And I would recommend this too, is that there's a backup redundancy at the golf course that can use potable water if for some reason you couldn't have, your reclaimed water system was down, whatever, you could use potable water to irrigate. Or if you don't have enough, the 58 acres is more than what they were using for irrigation. You're still going to probably need potable water to irrigate. It's real easy to do that. You just have a air gap to connect to the system and irrigate the same way you do now. Just it's one little added piece, an air gap to do that irrigation.
So if we were to get just theoretically, if we were to get the railroad property, there's a lot of land. The city could even irrigate with that.
That one, yeah, that one's a little tougher because I think you would have trouble. You have to you have to make sure you're getting something that's gonna grow and take the water out. It can't just be sprinkling out of the water because that becomes land treatment, which triggers a whole different set of regulations. But if you're irrigating at the rate that the grass can take up the water, that's what they're gonna look at for the land application fees. You can't just spray it out on a piece of ground and.
No, it'd be
and-
grassed in or
Yeah.
whatever, it'd be a
Yeah.
park-like setting, I'm sure.
So are we looking at a mechanical plant with a pond?
Mhm.
And then beyond that, now we're talking about how much other things do we stick in this Christmas tree? Is that what we're really talking about?
Uh,
As far as
That's-
irrigation of the golf course?
yeah, so
land
it's like two different things. One is how you're gonna treat it,
Right,
and then second is how you're gonna get rid of it.
right.
Probably the cheapest, well, I guess I can't say the cheapest. One of the options is to store it and just discharge it. Then you're not worried about finding land or connecting pipe all the way across the place, but you have to have a bigger storage lagoon to store it all. The other is, a smaller storage lagoon, but you have to put in the pipe to get all the way across there. And I can't tell you what those numbers, the cost numbers are, because they haven't evaluated that. But I think that's something that you guys should have the answers before you make a decision.
We heard, go ahead.
I just wanna know if we could use it at the cemetery.
Sure. It's a lot farther out there.
Is it than the golf course?
Yeah, it's a ways out there.
Yeah.
It's at the hill, too.
Well, and then I think we all have a piece of land with the golf course that is right now being farmed. Is that still true? Or is that, and I know we've talked about starting to use it, I just didn't know if that could in any way
Cemetery.
be at the cemetery. Is there any way that land that we have surrounding that farmers have been using in the past, if we take that back, can that be used for any kind of holding or anything? Or again, I know
Sure.
we're going uphill.
Yeah.
But if land is a problem somewhere else.
Yeah.
Is that an option?
Sure, absolutely.
Is there enough space out there?
I
Is it
don't
equivalent to the
know.
golf
I'd have to
course,
look
or-
and see how big that is. I think they had some numbers in here for how much storage they
5
need.
acres, 5 acres out there.
I think 5 acres is probably pretty small.
No, the ground is not cemetery, the ground is.
The whole thing's,
So-
whole thing's probably about 20, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems like, so it seems to me that the question is whether it's more expensive to run pipe out to the golf course or build a bigger lagoon.
Those are the two disposal options.
Right.
Either build a bigger lagoon and then discharge it over the winter when you can, or you build a pipe across the town, smaller lagoon, and then irrigate at the golf course.
And solids would have to be processed out.
You treat it just like you're gonna discharge it to the creek. So, it's clean water. The solids are out, the solids are processed at the plant, whether it's, a mechanical plant or an MBR, either one. You could use either one to do that. So this is, once it's clean, once it's treated, what are you doing with it? So I think that option needs to be evaluated in this, so you guys know what that cost difference is or what that cost is.
Do you have any idea, they throw around the amounts of 10 million to 24 million. We're a little confused on.
Yeah.
Every time we talk this, it's 24 million, but they might get 75% coverage.
Yeah.
And then maybe not, and maybe it's,
So, just 100% clear, ecology funding, grant funding is only up to $5 million. So if you get $24 million, you're not gonna get 75% grant unless you get a direct appropriation from the state, which I think is unlikely, given the state's current budget.
Okay, now I feel like you said something a little bit different after you talked to Kim.
I forgot about that 5 million cap on that.
Yeah.
So, even though we might go over the 3%,
The hardship,
the hardship, I forgot about 5 million.
Yeah.
Cap, so.
Okay, so that cap is still in place.
Mhm.
So the 75%, 25 is a no-go.
not
So
realistic.
looking at the membrane is maybe not as hopeful.
But they're
as we
also
hope.
not the only funding source.
They're not. You don't qualify for CDBG right now. USDA Rural Development does have less, they don't have the same cap in grant loan break. They can do up to 40% grant, I think. But their grant is also the last dollars you use. You use all the loan first, and then whatever you don't use in, if your plant comes in $2 million under budget, that's all the grant funds. If you get the loan you get, and the grant funds are the last thing they use. So, so, that 60-40, if you came in under budget, now it's, 70-30 or 75-25 because you don't actually get to use that grant until last. So,
Matt, is there a reason why the MBR package came in at 24 million?
Part of it is more expensive. There's several things, and I discussed some of that in here. The actual plant itself is cheaper, or not cheaper, I guess I should say. The plant itself was like 3 or 4 million, I think. But that's just the thing they haul in and drop off. That doesn't have the basins, the concrete pad, the roof over the top, any of that stuff, the piping changes, any of that stuff. That's just the thing they drop off there. Also not included in here is the way those work. You have to have an equalization tank ahead of it. So when those big flows come, you can't flush everything through. It says, I'm only going to take 80,000 gallons a day. That's all I'm going to take. And so if you get 400,000 gallons in a day, you got to have somewhere to store that so that it can be fed through the plant at the right rate. Because if they can't, it's not like the plant you have now where you can push more through if you need to. It has a prescribed rate that goes in, and you can't exceed that. So there's a little bit of risk, and there wasn't a number in here for the equalization basin. I don't think they had fully evaluated that.
So it's more than 24 million.
Yeah, that's one piece. The O&M, every 10 years you have to replace those membranes, and those $200,000 or $300,000 every 10 years. That is going to happen every 10 years. Every Heights just replaced their membranes. They have a different. It's not an MBR, but they have microfiltration, and it was $1 million for them to replace theirs. Their plant's bigger. It's somewhere between 7.5 or 750 or 1 million gallons a day, so it's bigger than your plant. But I mean, it's a real number that I don't think they included in their analysis here, which is going to drive that number higher. The cost of an operator, you have to have a Class 3 operator operate the MBR plant. In their analysis, they were showing an O&M cost for an MBR to be less than the current plant. It's kind of left me scratching my head. I talked to the process engineer. I said, what's your thought on, is it going to be more to operate an MBR plant than the current plant or Lagoon plant? And the answer was yes, resoundingly yes. It's a higher cost operator. Even if Stephen gets his credentials for a Class 3 operator, that should likely comes with an increase in pay. And if you have to hire somebody else to do that, I mean that's a certification that comes with more dollars. The membrane replacement, it left me scratching my head about how that number could be less for O&M for an MBR plant that's a lot more complex and has a lot more moving parts than the current plant have. So
It's like a new toy. He'll do it for nothing.
oh yeah.
Just go out and play with it, right?
So
Get it.
so one of the things I asked him here is have a breakdown, not just, there wasn't much breakdown about what the O&M costs were. It was just I think this is less than that. And so it's like, well, you need more information than that.
So can I ask that, so you've been on this for 20 years, you've
Yeah.
seen it, you know Tekoa,
Yeah.
you know our funding.
Yeah.
You know the state funding. They came in and said, kind of push us towards the membrane, but that's just not looking feasible. So let's say all those factors, everything and let's say land acquisition is, we don't have land.
Mhm.
What are you gonna tell, what should we be doing?
Well, land is going to affect every one of these, including the MBR and all of them, because you're going to have somewhere to store, whether you irrigate or whether you discharge to the creek. You're going to have land. So it affects every one of those, and depending on how far away that is, affects the dollars. And so I think that's something that needs to be better fleshed out in this about what the options are, about where that could be.
So which one is gonna require the least amount of land?
The least amount of land is going to be there's a little piece, a little triangle out there northwest of the plant. Yeah.
telling us about that last week.
That looks like it would fit every need you needed, other than the acreage for application. You know, it would either fit the smaller pond for discharging a golf course, or land playing a golf course, or it would also fit being able to store everything. You know, if that piece could be acquired, it would be very. It would answer all your questions. You would have the space you needed to do any option you needed.
For any of the options?
Yeah. Yeah.
And is that little triangle, is that farmland at this moment?
It
Or
is.
is it's
It is.
actually being farmed at
Yeah.
this moment?
It's above the floodplain. One of the comments in here is that it was in the floodplain. Well, if you drive out there, it's not in the floodplain. It's well above. It's up by the highway. So that concern should go away. But I know you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket because if there for some reason negotiations failed or you couldn't. I mean, but it's going to affect dollars about how far away you have to go and where are other alternatives that we could put it. So it's kind of the big question to answer. Where can this go? And I know you're not going to be able to buy the land right now and know that 100% to go into this report. But I think if you had some sort of, I'm not going to say agreement, but some sort of understanding with the property owner that says, we really are interested in this. Are you willing to sell it? If we can negotiate the right price and have that on file.
Question, Matt.
Yeah.
What's the date where we have to stop discharging to the creek?
It hasn't been established yet.
Okay,
It's not in your permit. You don't have a new permit yet.
we'll just say March,
They've been,
April 1.
it's not going to be for a couple of years.
Okay, so just saying, I'm in the cycle year.
Oh, okay. June.
When does it?
June 1.
June 1 is when it gets too
Yeah.
hot. So basically.
Well, it's not too hot. That's when the nutrient parameters in the creek are exceeded.
That's the driver.
Yeah, it's nutrients in the creek. It's not temperature. I don't know. One of the drivers in this was temperature, but if you're out of the creek, temperature, the nutrients in the creek are what are driving you to be out of the creek, not the temperature. The temperature is a secondary factor that they're concerned about, but it's the nutrients in the creek. And so one of the options that we originally talked about was you can, and this might have changed, but there was an option to treat the effluent to a level that you can discharge to the creek all year round, but we're talking about $40 or $50 million. No, exactly. So it's just not reasonable to do that. But that's what's driving you to be out of the creek, not temperature. So
Okay, so the second part of my
Yeah,
question
sorry.
is, no, at what point in the summer can you discharge again?
November 1st.
Okay, so.
You're out of the creek from June to November.
So basically, we're looking at a facility at a lagoon to store the water from the 1st of June to the 1st of November.
Yes.
Okay. So if there's not gonna be anything, if you're only storing from that time to that time to discharge, then you'll start discharging again, correct?
Yes.
So what does that matter if it's on the floodplain?
Uh,
Because there shouldn't be anything in there when it's floodable time.
Part of it is that some of the funding agencies will not allow you to invest their dollars in the floodplain. CDBG is one that if they will not let you contribute or build anything in the floodplain because they don't want their money to be at risk of being washed away.
So I got a question. Okay, out there by the cemetery, we got 5 more acres we're adding on.
Yeah.
So what if you pumped, let's just say you did MVR, and you can't find the land down there or whatever, and then you pumped it all the way out and you build, ask Case, see if we could purchase land out there and build a humongous pond. And then you can go in any direction you want to go after that. Would that be worth it for storage area?
It's certainly how much area acreage do you
He's
have?
got to have 70, 80
Okay.
acres out there.
Because I think we're talking about 10 is the most, I think, in this analysis based on what that was. that's definitely something you could, if it's available and a possibility, I think exploring that is, or at least seeing what that cost is as a fallback if this other option doesn't pan out.
Well, can you
But-
look at that when you start putting this together, or?
Well, I think you need to have Century West do that. Because like you say, land is gonna be the key, and the farther out you get, the more dollars it's gonna be. So all those numbers that are in here are based on an assumption of a place that it's gonna be, and if it's not gonna be in that place, it's gotta be farther away, it just means those numbers that are in here aren't valid.
So would you consider a big storage facility out at the golf, the cemetery, the bare ground out there? Would that be too far away?
It's never too far away, it's just dollars.
The cost to pump it up there.
The closer it is to the creek, the cheaper it is, obviously.
What's the
Because-
definition of a floodplain?
Well, there's a FEMA floodplain map that has 100-year flood. There's a floodway and a floodplain. Floodplain is a little less restrictive. A floodway is very restrictive. So if it's in a floodway, lots of hunting agencies are hands off. They don't want to, because that's someplace that is likely to be flooded. CDBG is the one that absolutely will not fund anything in a floodway. We had an issue with that on a project in Odessa. So
Flood in Odessa.
I was gonna say the same thing.
That
It was a
would be a
water-
serious problem.
it was a water line. So it was a water line underground, and they said this 30 feet is in a floodway. We're not going to pay for it. So they were dead set against
We should all build an ark if Odessa gets flooded.
it. So.
Okay, go on.
So let's see. What else do I have here? One of the things I think, in the document, and it's conservative, again, it's a conservative conclusion, is they said that there were three things that were going to be replaced: the primary clarifier, the aeration base, and the aerobic digester. They said just going to replace them. They needed another clarifier and they needed another digester because for redundancy and reliability, those are needed. But those other three, I asked the question, or in my letter, I said, is there any chance that those could be rehabilitated? Could you, reinforce the wall? Could you do something to rehabilitate it? And would that be less cost than replacement? Because if you replace it, it's, you gotta tear it all out. You gotta have the other one online. You gotta build one, tear it all out, build another one. It's just a mess. And so if there's any way or any thought about could they be rehabilitated, that should be in here. Because if it's not in here, if it says you're gonna replace them, that's what a college is gonna have you do, is replace it. You can't go back and rehabilitate it because that's not what the plan says. So something I think should be explored more. Can they be rehabilitated? I know that concrete out there is in bad shape. I'm not saying they can, but at least evaluate it and say they can't be saved, it can't be saved, whatever. Instead of we're just gonna assume we're gonna replace it. Because once it's in there that says that, that's what you have to do or need to do. There's not an option to do rehabilitation. Now, I know some of the equipment in that needs to be replaced. I would say, I used an old street sign for one of the clarifiers, isn't that? I know it was out there. Yeah. So, there's some equipment in there that needs to be rehabilitated, but there wasn't any discussion in there about that. If you're gonna replace it, who cares? You're gonna replace it anyway, but, there's a chance to be rehabilitated. What equipment needs to be replaced and needs to be fixed. And I just think skipping over that thought needs to be evaluated, because that's dollars too. If it half as much to rehabilitate it than to replace it, why isn't that in here? So just something again to think about. There were some things on the calculations. They said that they were going to use 86,000 gallons a day for their flow generation. And when I do the numbers, 86,000 gallons a day for 5 months is 15.5 million gallons, but they're showing 11 million gallons for storage. Well, I mean, that's a big difference. If it was 15 to 15.5, okay, I can understand that, but the math isn't mathing. So I think there's some things that need to be addressed there. Let's see. One of the things in there too is they had this storage lagoon, and then we're going to pump everything from that storage lagoon back to the treatment plant and discharge it through the existing outfall. Well, why do you need to pump it back to the treatment plant? Ecology will allow a new outfall. You know, there's a permitting process you have to go through for it, but why not? If we're going to be on that little triangle piece with our storage volume, why can't we just discharge it from there instead of pumping it back? That's $500,000 that you're wasting on a pump station to pump it back to the plant. So, I mean, that was one of the things I was kind of confused about. Seems like there's better options than what that was. Well, they had a land application area in the plan, but it wasn't everything you needed to land apply. It was a smaller area, so you had flows accumulating every month. In a normal plan, you would say, how much do I need to get rid of this every month so I don't have storage? I mean, you have to have storage for safety, but you shouldn't be accumulating flows over time. Or at least it's something you guys should be thinking about. You know, would you rather have enough space that you got rid of everything, you didn't have to store it, didn't accumulate flows over the year? Or would you like to have a smaller and have a bigger storage lagoon? But it's just, there's one number there that says, we assume this, and this is how many gallons of storage we need. Well, it's kind of it's a relationship about the bigger land area. You know, if somebody had 40 acres that you could buy pretty easily, well, then you have less storage to use that's required. Or if you could find 5 acres that somebody was able to buy and that's all you could find, well, now you need more storage, and now you're going to be storing and discharging at other times. So I think there's some fuzziness in there. October is also a non-growing month, and so you're not going to apply anything in October where they had full application in October. So, I mean, that's going to affect storage volumes. So let's see. So I think there's a lot more they need to dig into on the land application side about how much land they have some options about. If you have 5 acres, it's this much storage. If you have 10 acres, it's this much storage. If you have 20 acres, it's this much storage, and how they came up with those numbers. Because there's certain irrigation allowable parameters. It's not just whatever you can spray out there. It's based on what the crops can uptake, and usually nitrogen is the dividing factor on that. Alfalfa is one of the best crops to take up nitrogen, but it has what's called an agronomic rate, which is how much it can take up per acre. And so you have to make sure you're designing for that. And one of the things too that I'm concerned about land application like that is that June through October isn't necessarily peak growing season. You know, you would think May, April is where you're going to have the most uptake from those plants. You know, June, July, yes, you're going to have, but is that peak growing time? And what do you do when the crops are harvested? You're not going to be able to. So I think there's a lot more in the land application that needs to be explained.
That's to you.
What?
I'm asking you a question.
Yeah.
Do you foresee, you've alluded to the MVR is going to be more expensive to operate.
Mhm.
Do you see any additional charges with the other options? Other labor, other expenses? How's that?
There was some discussion here about the land application, the irrigation system, and the cost for O&M on that being comparable to storage and discharge. Well, if you have to have 10 acres of, a 10-acre circle, or, whether it's a circle, whether it's, sprinklers, there's O&M on that I don't think was counted in here. So annualized O&M, summer land treatment was the same as full summer storage. Well, I don't see how they can be the same. You've got a new system, this irrigation system, you got to maintain, or you have to pay somebody to maintain it. But I don't see how they can be equivalent. I think that there's more O&M associated with irrigating than, now that's if you bought a piece of land and installed a sprinkler system. If you're irrigating at the golf course, I think there may be less O&M or a similar O&M because you're already paying for that maintenance on that system, the irrigation system at the golf course. You're not adding a new system. You're just changing the water that gets to it. So, I think there's questions. I have questions about O&M costs, and that's why one of the comments is give a breakdown about what you're thinking here, better than just a number on a page. So,
Matt, what's O&M is?
operations and maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that's the energy cost to drive it. That's the repair cost when something breaks, going out and fixing it. That's all of that stuff. That's labor time. Let's see. Trying to hit any other things. There's a comment in there about the MBR process is likely to meet future restrictions for discharge to Hangman Creek, at least during the winter months. Well, that's an interesting statement because ecology has already defined that these are the critical ones, and that outside of that, everything on Hangman Creek is good. So I don't think, my biggest concern with the MBR is you're not buying anything more for the money you're spending. You're getting a better treatment quality, minimal treatment quality, but you're still not going to be able to discharge to the creek during that time. You're meeting your permit limits right now, and the water quality testing and analysis they've done says that those limits are fine during this non-discharge period. So my concern is that you'd spend a lot more money for this MBR, and you're not buying yourself anything. Now, if you did this MBR and it said you could discharge 3 more months out of the year, your window narrowed, that's buying something. But you're not really going to buy anything with that extra investment. So that's one of my concerns with the MBR. Yeah.
So I know we had this discussion with you in the past. If the state comes in and changes what they allow, would one of these systems over the other have us better set up? Like if we can discharge less or our permits change? Or are we in the same situation no matter what? Because I know Roy brought that up before. We go through all this and then the state comes in.
That's a really tough question to answer. I don't think, while you're going to get a little better treatment with the MBR, if they come in and start enforcing something stronger, the MBR is not going to meet it either.
Okay.
So it's.
That's what I thought they meant in that report. Is so when it said future, that they were saying we're better set in that way, but not necessarily.
But the thing is that they know, right now, they know what a major undertaking this is, and they've set this discharge window, this no discharge window, with some conservancy to make sure that they're trying to address the problem at one time. Doesn't mean that things might not change in the future, but I don't believe that any one of these options has any leg up on any of the other ones for that, because what they're concerned about are the really low flow, hot times of the year. That's the time when the creek has water quality problems. And from November to May, that creek runs with enough water that even if they nailed you down to the same limits, it's not going to impact water quality in that river at all. So, yeah.
So why is MBR even selling anything then? We thought it was good. And besides being the next shiniest thing, right?
Yeah, because it's packaged in one skid that gets dropped off. It does have water quality benefits for some applications.
Such as limited space or what?
Well, limited space, or if the water quality, if somebody had a different permit limit that they were having trouble meeting with a similar treatment plant that you have there now, and an MBR provides a little better treatment that gets them over the hump. One of them is space requirements. There's a lot of, I mean, I think the tribe has, Spokane, or the Coeur d'Alene tribe has one outlet there because it's a small space. The Spokane tribe was looking to do that out at Airway Heights, and I think when they got the cost numbers, they backed off of that as well.
You just have to rig the slot machines.
Yeah. So there is some water quality benefit to using that, but it comes at a cost. And that's where I'm saying, if you invested in that, you're not going to get the benefit of that cost.
It's just to change that filter and everything alone will kill you.
Yeah. That's something you have to budget for and plan for. That every 10 years, you got to spend $300,000 to replace those filters. So, you know, it's $30,000 a year, 12 months, you know, $3,000 a month, 1,000, you know, 500 residents. That's what, $6 a month. You're gonna have to plan for right now.
This goes up all the time.
Yeah.
Well, and on top of your loan and your
Yeah,
interest and, yeah.
So, and that's something that ecology won't pay for. They won't pay for replacing those. So that's something you have to build into your rates to pay for it because it's considered a maintenance project.
So if we were to go to rehabilitate the tanks and do whatever down there needs to be, there's enough room down there to add a bigger tanks to get, you know, set up and started, isn't there?
Yeah. You might, I think they had it laid out and showed, you know, where a second clarifier could go and a second digester could go, and there's room there to do that. I think that's what they showed on their figures. I have to look again, but
Would you go to a above ground digester or in ground?
Given the rock out there, where we were doing it, it might be better to do above ground.
You just got to wrap it to heat it and everything.
Yes. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
So how are we supposed to, you know, how are we supposed to make a decision? When all these variables going on.
Mhm.
Who in the end says, look at all, this is what you gotta do? Who's gonna do that?
Well, that's what I'm trying to help you guys make that decision.
Well, yeah.
The only thing I can do is help give you the information to make an informed decision. You know, I can tell you, like the MBR, I think you'd be investing a lot and not getting a benefit for it. But if you still wanted to do the MBR, that's absolutely your decision. So just
Kind of cook against that.
Do we know?
if there was a value, I would highlight that in this report and say, hey, spending this extra $8 million or whatever it is going to buy you this. And this is why this is the best option, even though it's the most expensive. But reading through this, I haven't seen what that is. And I don't know that there is a reason for that, other than the more compact space and having everything be brand new.
So how do we get evaluated for just upgrading the plant to a better plant? How we go about doing that?
Well, that's what should be in here about, you know, the cost, and, you know, that's a lot of my comments were about cost on this draft. It had a lot of the basics up there about the planning piece, which is a lot better. And I let the person who wrote this know, hey, this is a lot better for the upfront basis. I still have concerns about the base flow that I think that's something you guys should think about and decide, you know, what level of risk you're willing to take. You know, what they have in here is a 30% factor of safety plus the other factors of safety.
So we need to do, if we go to rehabilitating the plant, we need to have another study what it's going to cost to rehabilitate that plant.
No, that should be in here. That's yes. That's what I'm telling you. You guys should ask
So
for
we
that.
need to demand that
Yes.
before,
Yeah.
that's part of our.
Matt, could we take your comments in a generic Word doc and
Sure.
send that back to them?
Sure.
That might be the easiest way for us to explain where we're going.
Absolutely. Yep, I can send that to you. And I can send that to would you like me to send it to you, Eliza, or?
Sure, it's,
Okay.
it's a generic.
Okay, yeah, I'll just send you this Word document and you can go through and do that. There are some pointed comments here about things actually in the report, more or less like conceptual comments, but there are a lot of conceptual comments, so just looking through that.
So what is the percentage you would recommend? If they have 30% built in, you said that's too much, what would you recommend?
Well, I think, somewhere between 10 to 15% is better.
Do you think that's reasonable?
Yeah, I do, because I think you're gonna fix the LI and everything else type of law. So that when he does that, I know we're gonna spend more money on that. But theoretically, when that's fixed, even in the summer months, I think you'll have improvements because groundwater is groundwater.
Yeah.
And a lot of our lines are in the groundwater area.
Yes.
So
Can
I
I
think
ask
when those
Stephen
things,
his thoughts on that? Stephen, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that percentage is good, just for a safety margin, but we're gonna have to cut down the I&I, which is gonna take like a team effort with the whole city. Because we have to get roof drains off of the sewer system. We
Get
have
what, root drain?
drains,
Oh, yeah.
and then sub pumps, like in people's basements, if they have sub pumps pumping into directly the sewer, those need to come off and those need to go above ground. So basically whatever's not coming out of a toilet or sink needs to get off of the sewer system to help with the I&I.
How much of a difference will that make? I mean, do you even have an idea of how many people are doing it that way?
I don't, and it also, I don't know. I've had some speculations done on buildings and I've heard some things like this roof is still on the sewer system, this roof is. Like I just got told today that both of the schools were on the system, so that's a lot of roof area that's collecting water going into the sewer plant. So if that's true, I'm not saying it is, but that's a lot of landscape that's gonna collect water. So it depends on the square footage of the house, who has sub pumps, there's a lot of variables.
So what I hear you saying is to reduce it to the numbers Matt is talking about, we also have to decrease the I&I.
It would help,
To make
but
it work.
his margin of error is,
More reasonable.
yeah.
And these are also only during the summer months. So the winter months, there is a lot of I&I still coming in. We've reduced it a lot. If you look at year to year, it's come down quite a ways. And it's, when we started doing that, and started finding grants to do that, we were looking at 30 million gallons of storage for the no discharge. Now we're down to like 11, or somewhere between 11 and 13. So, I mean, we've come down quite a way. That's quite a reduction. And there's still things to do, but some of that, these summer months are when it's the driest and we're not seeing high I&I. So yes, we do need to still work on the I&I, but it shouldn't affect these numbers much.
and I think there's another savings that brought up the amount of money that we would save getting rid of the chlorine and the disinfectant for the chlorine. And we would save a large amount of money every year not purchasing that and just have a building out there for the UV lights to go in. So every year I would save about $40,000 a year. Because chlorine is expensive.
And I thought that was for the membrane system.
It's for any system.
Any of them.
We use it right now, chlorine right now.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what treatment system you have, you still have to do disinfection, whether it's chlorine or UV. And so, yeah.
What's the cheapest we might be able to build a plant? Of all these systems we're talking about, I mean, if we refurbish the old plant and other options, knowing what you know and the size, do we have a ballpark of not only what it might cost, but what can a town like this afford?
Yeah, I don't have that answer for you. I'm sorry. There's enough questions in how because they always want to. One of the things you have to have in here is the 20-year lifespan. And there's enough questions about what the O and M over the years is that I don't think you can take what's in here and figure out what that net present value is with a lot of the questions. If we could save, a couple $1 million by not replacing basins out there and can rehabilitate them,
Yeah. I
I don't know what that answer is, but is it something that should be evaluated? Yes, it is, and have if it's a possibility, what that number is. If it's not a possibility, what that number is, and have that be in the any options. It doesn't make sense to replace it if you can rehabilitate it.
I mean, we went through that approximate cost of the lift station, and you know what that didn't do?
Yeah.
That was a fortune.
Yeah.
The things that we didn't know were there, the
Yeah.
rock, shelf, and all
Yeah.
that. So we have to assume if you decide it's gonna cost you 10 million, how much do you have to build in just in case it runs over?
Yeah.
Like 20% or 10?
Ecology builds 5% in.
5.
Yeah, into their grant agreements for construction. So anytime you run over that, that was one thing I don't think I saw any rock excavation in this cost estimate, which I thought should probably be considered when they're talking about installing the 2 new basins out there. Because you're going to have to do a primary clarifier, another clarifier, and a digester, and so that number. Are we going to be in rock? And do we need to consider that?
So
So
when they put the ones that are now, do they have to go through rock to put those in, or those?
I'm not sure. I don't know how deep they are. I know how deep our wet well was with the lift station and how far into the rock we were there.
Yeah.
I know we had them do some other tests around the site to see if we should move that wet well somewhere else because maybe we were in the only spot that had rock, but I don't know the answer to that. So
The thing is, you could have built, if you're gonna hit rock, you could also come up higher and
Yeah.
have elevated tanks. So no matter what, we're gonna have to have some kind of holding tank, pond or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So kind of messing around, it's 300 feet by 900 feet, 8 feet deep. That's for
how many
180 days.
Okay.
That's a big.
It is a big.
Actually, it's actually 6 acres.
Yeah.
And,
It's the lake.
Yeah.
Me.
And that's where that little triangle one, I think it's about 20 acres, so it would accommodate that. It's fairly flat. I mean, you have to do some grading around, but it could accommodate that full storage that we're talking about. That's why it's attractive. It's close to the creek, so you can discharge straight back into the creek without pumping it back. So it's just something
So I guess we need to start looking into that direction.
Mhm.
Because it seems like our role, because the MBR is out.
Yeah.
And we can't afford that. And lagoons are out, because we're not even gonna be able to do that.
if you do lagoons, it's going to be even bigger area than the storage.
We can't.
Because you're gonna have to have a treatment lagoon, and then you're also gonna have to have the storage lagoon after it's treated to discharge.
So the sad part about it, we spent so much money on our lift station screens and everything else. So I think maybe rehabilitating might be the best way to go. Because there is land out there to build a tank, get one out of the way, build another tank, get one out of the way. And so it might be the best option for us to do.
Yeah.
You're talking about that triangle area. Where is that at? Is that the triangle
It's
south?
just off of this. Just off of here. There's a little triangle of farm ground right here. That the creek comes around and goes like this, and the highway
Right.
goes like this.
Right.
It's split between the highway and the creek.
Okay, we did south through that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can show you.
About where you do your road report from.
So you'd have to get easement from the
This little
railroad.
triangle right here.
Right, right.
Here's the plan. There's a little triangle right there.
And that's not in floodplain.
It's not in the floodplain.
Really?
Yeah, it's up above.
No, it's up pretty high.
It's way up above.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
So-
you still have to
That may be-
pipe it from here, from the plant.
From the plant to there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Increase a little bit.
Now, that's privately owned or
But that's
Okay.
just not usable.
it's not usable, right? No, it's not,
It's being
not
farmed right now.
usable for us.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or?
Yeah, on the tanks, the two tanks, the top one and the bottom for the chlorinated, they're in pretty good shape. I mean,
Yeah.
concrete wise.
Yeah. The chlorine ones,
An 18.
the chlorine contact or which ones are you talking about?
The one they chlorinate.
Yeah.
And then the one right above it by
The digester.
right below the aeration. And that one's in pretty good shape too. The concrete's good on it.
That was one, so they had replacement of the primary clarifier, the aeration basin, and the existing digester. And the one right next to the lift station, the new lift station, is the digester. And then, yeah. So,
Well, that was a trickling filter.
yeah,
Just before I.
reprogrammed.
Well, that might be for something else to
So-
look at then.
So I don't think you have enough information to make a decision. I think there's more information you need to get. And so that's kind of the purpose of this is, the first one was not good. And so let's put that one aside, the first plan. This one's closer, but I still think there's questions you need to answer before you can make an informed decision. And so I'll get these questions to Liza and you can look through them and if there's ones you want to scratch out or do whatever, or if you have others you want to add, if I prompted thoughts about other things you're thinking about, to ask questions about, add them to that list and then, ship them off and let them know what your thoughts are.
And you still think that maybe 50-50 as far as grants or other sources plus our money would be more a reasonable assumption? 50-50?
It depends. 50-50 up to 5 million is ecology. So if you're 10 million, yeah, 50-50. If you're 15 million, now maybe 50-50 is not out of the question, but you're gonna have to get the extra 2.5 million grant from somewhere else. Maybe it's a direct appropriation by being in the area of your legislator. They still have projects they sponsor every year. Who knows where the budget's going, but it's something to think about. But the safest play is the 5 million max. That's the safest assumption you can make right now is when you're programming rates. And if you get more than that, great. But 5 million is what I would say is the most you would get as you're
And we really wouldn't know until we come up with a cost.
Yeah.
And then whatever they said.
Yeah.
So we need to come up with an idea of what we need to do.
Yeah.
Cost on.
Yep.
And our timeline on this is,
Well, it's whatever we need to. I mean, it'd be nice to get it done, and so this hasn't gone to ecology yet, so they're gonna have to review it and approve it, which could take up to 60 days or more. Likely we're talking about sometime later this year, midsummer probably, before you would be in a position to move forward with design. So, yeah.
So it was the question, at what point in time do they need to make a decision by in order to keep things moving along with all the preparation we've made?
So if we send these comments back and get another version back that we can look at and the questions are answered so that you guys can make an informed decision. I mean, you're probably talking a month or two out to have that be at that point. And then at that point, when you have made a decision, that goes into the recommended alternative or the preferred alternative. And then that document would go to ecology for their review. I think the way we're talking through this, flushing out all these things that are questions that I know ecology would have, hopefully the review process timeline in ecology is a lot easier because they're not gonna have many questions about some of these things. They won't have costs. They would absolutely ask questions about that. They would ask questions about the sizing of things. All the questions that I have in here are things that they would ask. So,
April 1.
sure.
So what, if we really got our act together, made a decision, what's the fastest we can get a plant built?
So,
That's what we're talking about here,
If-
ballpark.
if we had a decision made April 1st, send it in ecology reviews it a month or two, June, July, you're starting design because if you're already programmed for money for design, that's what they keep asking for how much do you need for design? How much do you need for design? So that money's already there, ready to be programmed for you. Just when your plan is approved and you're ready to move forward. Takes about a year to design it, get all the permitting, all that stuff done. So, I mean, we're probably talking going to bid towards the end of, let's see, 26, probably end of 27 is when we go to bid. Plant probably take a year and a half or two, depending on, which option you go with or how we develop it. So, I mean, we're probably talking about having a plant online in 2029, realistically.
Wow. That's longer than I thought.
Could be 28, but I think 28 is pushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that $5 million limit.
Yeah.
Our water and sewer rates as they are right now, would that affect that at all?
The $5 million limit is what's programmed into their state budget or their funding guidelines. The way your rates are lets you access up to 5 million. But that's the most that they'll grant. They can put in forgivable principal in a year.
So
Per year.
if we kept our rates the way they are, then we're
We're
okay
at
for 5 million.
76 per household.
What they do is they look at how your rates would be if you had to fund it fully with loan. And if your rates go over 2%, that's when the grant starts triggering. And when you get to 3%, that's when the full amount of that grant is realized. And so what they'll do is they'll look at your rate, what your rate is now and what your rate would be to fully pay for the plan and see what that is. And if it's, say if it's $15 million plant, I think there was numbers in here about what that rate would be. They'll look at that and say, okay, now we're gonna look at your median household income. Is that 3% of, is your rate 3%, annual rate 3% of that? And if it is, that's when you're in the hardship category.
You're talking about $120 a month at one point.
Yeah.
Because what are we now, 80?
So 76, aren't we?
I think it's 78.
Yeah.
So do you see that there's a need, I mean, we're okay to stay where we're at, then, I guess is my question, until
Well, let's see.
things start proceeding.
25% grant. I mean, that had, there were some things with their numbers in here too. They had 460 users, but there was also 560 RUs in a different section. So the numbers are a little skewed here, but let's see. It depends on the term of the loan, obviously, too. It's hard to make sense of their numbers here because, for example, they've got 75% low interest loan for $11 million, 40 years and 3.125% for 163, or 100% low interest loan of $14 million is 113. So, I mean, there's some things with their numbers. Like, I didn't look at these close enough to see that there were,
They didn't make sense.
yeah. If you had $14 million at 40 years and the same interest rate as $11 million, why is your payment more for the 14 than the 11? Doesn't make sense. So,
But in 5 years, things could change too.
so I can't tell you, I'm sorry. I know your rates are gonna go up. I don't know what that end product is gonna be because I don't have confidence in numbers, but that they're presented here.
Well, I think Marge is also asking if, we've been talking about, do we need to have the rates any higher at the moment in order to qualify for any of that? Or can we wait until we know more about what the costs are gonna be?
I mean, this is just my opinion, obviously, but I would suggest you keep that increase going because they will look at what your rates need to be to fund the whole thing, not what your rates are. They will say, hey, your rate is gonna need to be $140 to pay for this. And that represents 3% or 4% of your median household income, so your hardship. They're not gonna look and say, well, you're at 76 and you need to be at 140, that doesn't matter to them. What do you need to be at to pay for this fully? And then they adjust the hardship to try and offset that to bring it down.
So if we have money, and let's just throw out, we got $1 million in the bank savings at that period of time. Then we find out, let's just say it's $10 million. We're really borrowing 9 million.
What, that can all factor in to that, that piece when they get to that hardship calculation. They do a calculation, they have a spreadsheet, they put all their numbers in, what you're asking for funding, what your debt service is, what your O&M costs are, you know, your budget numbers are, what your rate is, how many users you have. They put it all into this hardship spreadsheet. It comes out and says, well, this is, yes, you qualify for this level of hardship.
So if they look at that and they say, you know, people looks like they're trying to help themselves out a little bit here. Making a, you know, like a little bit of an increase, a little bit that we're trying to do a better part on our, you know, a better part for ourselves. Do they look at that?
They suggest it because they don't want you to have a big rate increase all at once,
Yeah,
but it doesn't affect their calculation.
okay.
They just plug numbers in a spreadsheet for what they need to be, and that's how they figure out.
And then they say
harshness.
you're in trouble.
Okay, Matt?
Yeah.
As far as Fairfield's concerned, do you know how much their plant cost?
Their plant was done, oh gosh,
Long time ago.
20 years ago.
So
I don't remember what theirs is. I don't remember what their
I
plant
was
is.
wondering if it was more, we put in today's dollars, how much they're paying a month to pay for that plant the city is. Do we have any? Well, I guess my question would be, $10 million plant, somebody covers for half, what's it gonna cost the city per month to pay for that?
And I thought that their numbers in here, they had numbers in here for that, but their numbers don't make any sense. And so I can't, I thought this table on page 67, I thought I could, asking that question, I thought I could tell you that, but their numbers don't make sense, so I can't. Because they had one that was $14 million, 40 years, 3.125%. It says $113 a month. And then they have $11 million, 40 years, 3.125%, $163. It's $50 more for less loan, so the numbers don't make sense. So I can't answer that for you. I was gonna refer to this table and tell you, but I didn't go back.
It's all painful, Matt, that's all.
Yeah, it is, 100%, and I appreciate that, and I wish I had better news for you.
Anything else? Better run that, we got a chance.
And I think, Roy, you'd said something, or there was confusion about, you know, I'm 100% on board to help design this, to do the design. It seems like a big project, but there's several team members that go into this project. You have a structural engineer that designs the basics. You have a process engineer that designs the process piece. You have an electrical engineer that designs the electrical. You know, there's a team that goes into this. And so I don't want you to look at me and think that I'm not interested in doing this project. I'm very interested in doing this project for Tekoa. And I have one person on board now and others coming. But I don't want you to think this project's too big for me because it's
So you'd be interested in designing it,
absolutely.
not building it.
No, I can't build it, obviously, but I can
That's up to
oversee
us.
the construction of it.
Are we able to get another grant for just theoretically, get another grant for just designing this then?
So for,
Say you took this on.
Yeah.
Can we get another grant from ecology to
yes,
do whatever it's gonna take?
you're already programmed for that. It's a 50-50 loan grant because of where your median household income. So whatever the design contract is, it's 50-50 loan grant already. That doesn't count against the 5 million eventually, but this is because of I know we talked about the Skipple funding or the Table 12 funding. It saves you from having to go back to ecology and apply every time. You've applied for this whole project and ecology, you're on ecology's list. And so we're in the planning stage. Next is the design stage. Ecology's got money reserved for you for the design. They asked for what you think it's gonna be. We said it's gonna be more than what we think it's gonna be, but just to be safe on the safe side. But that money's already sitting there and ready when this plan is designed and ready to move forward. And then the same thing will happen on construction. Once the design is approved, they'll have construction funds ready for you, or they should, based on this hardship calculation, forgivable principal and grant and loan and all that. They'll have a package that'll be ready to sign on the line and move forward with construction.
What's a design cost ballpark currently?
Well, I think we asked for $1.5 million, or it's put in the funding request for $1.5 million, because design is typically about 10% of construction. Now, if we're at 10 million in the improvements, it's not gonna be $1.5 million, it's gonna be, closer to $1 million. But that's all up in the air, but we wanna make sure that we're on the high side for what we reserve. You're not obligated to that amount at all. Whatever we get to design, that amount is what you sign the contract for. So if we come out and it's $5 million for, we say, we're gonna cut this, we're gonna do this, we got this perfect spot for, do everything, and it comes out to $5 million. I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen, but that $1.5 million isn't gonna be $1.5 million. It's gonna be in the 500,000. So, okay.
All right. Thank you. We'll be in touch.
Sorry I bent your ear for an hour and a half.
It helps, it helps.
But if you have any other questions, let me know. So, but I'll get the questions.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it as usual. Okay. I'm gonna be, everybody gotta get up and do a couple of jokes.
Sorry.
No. Okay. D, clerk treasurer appointment ordinance.
We have it on here because I was asked to talk about it at the next one, but the actual ordinance is in new business, so we can either do that now or we can do that in new business.
What's your pleasure? Let's roll with it now.
Yeah, okay, so the ordinance, number 910 is a page, like the third or fourth from the last paper, so it's in there.
See you guys, thank you.
Just have to go to like that third or fourth page from the end, ordinance 910. And these are the items that were asked to be included in the section 1.04.010 for confirming it.
Okay.
Confirming this initiative.
And this is what you were talking about, Pete, right?
Yeah. I think we can,
We left out a couple of things. It's-
yeah, we did, and I can promise that we did. If we pass it tonight, it says, when they're going to effect.
In 5 days.
Okay.
Okay. Accept the motion.
I make a motion that we will pass ordinance number 910.
I'll go
Okay,
ahead.
seconded.
I'll second that.
More discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right. Whitman Recovery Community Request.
That is the
Right.
naloxone.
So I had a conversation with the grocery store, and they are, if I had to give it a percent, 80% in favor of putting it in. They've got still another person that they need to talk to within their chain of command, but he didn't think it would be a problem.
I think that's the best place for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's under watch.
yeah,
Well, especially being temperature
it's sensitive, right?
sensitive, so it had to be there.
All right. Let's go to golf course remodel.
Interesting. I've talked to Jared today, and we had a good discussion. He's highly motivated, and we're hoping to get a blue ribbon committee together, as I talked about last time. He explained to me that he's found a lot of paperwork on previous bids, and I've got several of them. They were done last summer, and he sent me some of the paperwork on it, some of the bids. I haven't seen the paperwork. I've just seen the sheet. I haven't seen all the paperwork. I didn't know there were any out there. I'm waiting the one from another person that did, but that might have to be redone because there was some discussion about putting, depending on what we want to put on the wall, whether it's on the exterior walls, that might change, from the last one. And so, but there are some interest, there are some bids on windows and siding, I think we had, I have McKay out here to bid, have some others in here. If we want to go to the restaurant, we have some restaurant equipment we can get, Windows Works, Northwest LLC. These are some bids. It's a start. And so they might have to be redone because it's been a while.
How old are they?
These were done
I mean, I just want to know how
May, the
economic.
one on McKay was May of 21st, 25.
Okay, recently then.
Yeah, this was in this.
Within 12 months.
Not bad. So I was pleased with that. We have some interest. I planned on, I was gonna tell you, Mike is gonna go down to that meeting tomorrow. You have the one.
The economic development.
Yeah. Now let's start, what, 10 o'clock? Or
No,
what?
11:45,
11:45. Okay.
1:30.
Okay. And that would be interesting to have that information. And just to see what's available out there. You've been to a lot of these just to get a lay of the land.
Most of them have got a pre-programmed schedule, so I don't know if that might be available.
Oh, yeah.
You could certainly talk to either Brenda or Kara and see where they're at or how they can get you going.
It was just more just got a flavor of what's going on. I don't think you could go up and say, well, we can change the agenda, let's do this. But there is interest. I know Dr. Roy about it. You've been involved in it. I think to see where these all go, he's going to give me more information. Jared is, see where that takes us. So we can get enough information and some serious bids and see where we are and then maybe sit down with the Blue Ribbon Committee, figure out exactly what the design should be, what the materials they want to put on, and then revisit some of these. I think there's some interest there. We can get something done.
Good.
And then we get all that together and then you get the port involved. And Mike, you've dealt with them a lot. I'm not suggesting that that's the cover all, but I think there's enough players that I see some positive action going. When it is after talking about the sewer plant, yikes. But this seems much less monumental than the sewer plant, of course, and much cheaper. But I do think there's some real potential there, a lot of motivation from the golfing community. We see what they've done over at Britsville as far as getting the business community involved, figure out somebody can gain more revenue out there. Those are all good. So we're actively working on it.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you.
Stephen, do you have any information from something that happened out there today? Do we know anything? Positive?
We had a septic truck come to pump out the cemetery and the golf course today. It was my understanding that I won't name names, but somebody who is at the golf course was gonna have everything ready and kind of
Right.
ready to go for it to be pumped and figured out where the actual septic system was. That did not happen. So today we opened up a 4-inch pipe, had a bunch of things, headaches in our way, a lot of rock. But we tried the camera down to see where the septic was. Didn't get there. And so I'm gonna try again tomorrow. If we find where the septic lid is, I'm gonna dig it up. One of the things that I'm fearful of is where they put their fill for the first tee. The pipe is going right in that direction. So if that septic tank is underneath all that fill, we're either gonna have to put that that land back to native grade, or we're gonna have to charge them for a whole bunch of risers. to bring
Gordon
that
put
up.
that tank in, didn't he?
Back in
Yes.
03,
So did you ask him where it is?
yeah, he could give me a rough estimate, but it's like finding a needle in a haystack.
You know, you mentioned, I didn't say that. Talked to Jared today, he said that, he apologized for it, he said, he didn't know they were gonna pump the tank, today until it was ongoing, it was late, he didn't, I don't know if he even got there, but he said he found out while it was actively going on. Now, he thought the tank had been pumped, but he didn't know, so he was not notified one way or the other that that was gonna happen. So how that happened, I don't know, but at least, I told him at least there's an action going to find the tank and to get it pumped out. The cemetery got pumped out, did it?
Well, at least the weather was nice to do it in, right?
Oh, gorgeous day.
It was just a little bit kind of a bad feeling because you had probably $300 an hour out there between the truck, the pump guy, and me and Andy trying to find a septic tank when it could have been done a lot earlier.
So what are you gonna need? You're gonna go out, try to find it
I'm
again?
just gonna use my camera and try to go through there. There was some roots and some blockages that were also keeping us from going in there. And then I'm just gonna take the backhoe and figure it out.
Does Jared know where that tank would be? I don't know.
No, he was probably in high
If he
school.
knew about it, I wouldn't have had to dig so much stuff up.
I mean, I said, he felt bad because he did not know, he said. I said, well, I let the city know, the city got the information, what they did with it, and what the communication was, I have no idea. So I told him, you have to talk to the city, and make it up, make it happen. So, that's a communication thing. And it's doesn't fall on the city. I'm sorry it didn't get done. We hope that would be part of the thing and get done. It's important that you guys are out there. That's really a good thing. You know how big the tank might be?
I have no idea until I see it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. It never goes like we think it should, does it?
No.
All right. Okay. Community Heart and Soul, we gotta approve that resolution, right?
So you'll find resolution 2601, that was forwarded to me as a template by Alex Overton, so.
Just basically, putting the city supporting the,
Cambodian Foundation
Yep.
Soul Program.
okay,
And, yes.
I'll accept
Make
the
a motion
motion.
that we go ahead and accept resolution number 2601.
I'll second that.
Pete seconded, okay, those discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, perfect. Okay, budget amendment. 909. Oh, sorry, 909.
That's okay.
You were along too fast sometimes.
So this is moving the December 2025 water and sewer utility taxes to current expense, moving the $15,000 for the airport to the airport fund, and amending the revenues and expenditures for the card loan for this year. So the total airport budget would be 94,303,01. So it's related, but it's not part of the amendment. For the airport, the card loan was not included in the 25 budget through revenue and expenditure amendment. So it needs to be included in the 2026 budget. And then we are wanting to move the money sooner than we will do for some other things for the airport because we have not received the 0.09 reimbursement for the airport yet from the commissioners. I'm not exactly sure when that's coming in. I thought it was coming in late last year. And then we'll get those card loan reimbursements as soon as that is finished, which it hopefully will be done in the next couple of weeks. Because we know that the equipment finally shipped. So I'm waiting on a phone call back for that. Or Kendall can let you know, or Nikki or whomever at that point, when it's going to be going in. But we're expecting it.
That's the gas
before
pump?
the gas pump before the end of the month.
I'm still, maybe you explain it, but I see the airport car loan 43, and then we end up with 94,000. That's,
Because that's amending the total budget. It's amending the revenues and expenditures, which is the total budget figure. But the car loan is 43,315 of that.
what's your budget, Mike?
Well, the 15 is we need to transfer that so we can go back to planning and design this year. That's part of the money that we funded, 5 or 6 years ago. And we just need to make that money available in the fund so we can pay those.
How much O&M money is out there that we haven't been paid? How much do they owe us? O&M money.
For the .09,
O&M.
I think it's about 30,000.
Okay.
That's a chunk.
That'll cover everything we need to do out there, so.
Yeah.
Kim?
Thanks, Skanky, I appreciate it.
Before, now, I remember, we talked about that sewer money going in the reserve, the 150,000. Did that happen in December? I kind of got
Yes,
lost.
that was
We
the last-
did do that, okay.
yes,
I just,
we did.
so, I was trying to think this was what this was, because I was thinking you said we did it in January, but this is different.
No, this is, typically you will move January through November excise taxes in December, but you have to wait till January to do the December excise taxes to finalize the year. And I know that the council's talking about maybe not moving them in the future. And I mean, that's more discussion. I don't know if this is exactly the place, but just please keep in mind that you're talking about using the general fund for things that the city's never done before. The city's never really invested in the golf course before. They've not invested in the theater before. If you take the money out of water and sewer, and 2026's budget accounts for still moving that money into the general fund, so those numbers are healthy, then you're taking $35,000 approximately out of the general fund. I don't know how you know, pretty soon you won't have anything to use the general fund. You won't have enough general fund money to use, because that's where it gets its money is from, the taxes. And, you know, property taxes are the same, you know, so it's gonna get pretty squeaky. You know, if you have any extra legal expenses for union negotiations, it has to come out of the general fund. So that's why I suggested maybe you would wait till the end of the year or see what the next year's beginning balances are. You could always move the money. That's not a problem. It's just, you might wanna wait till the end of 26 to move the 2026 monies into water and sewer, because once you do that, you can't move it back.
True.
So Dave, my suggestion to you, I know we talked before, is that from the budget committee is to maybe to do exactly what Eliza said and waiting this year, or considering moving just one of the funds. But again, there's the L&I expenses, there's the negotiation expenses, you know, and the unknown really of the sewer plant. So I think there's wisdom in waiting and really watching and moving in that direction. I feel really good that we've got the 150,000, and then with the 150,000 into this year, if I remember the numbers,
Yes.
Eliza, we would have close to $500,000 in the sewer reserves. So that's a good start in that direction, and then to continue to move. I know
We'll
this has
talk
been your, okay, so, but you're okay with passing this tonight and keeping it in the general fund?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so then, if that's the case, I'm willing to,
Yeah, we'll pass it for now.
okay, well, I'm willing to make a motion that we go ahead and pass this.
Second.
I'll
second it. I think I agree.
Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, C, now, annual council, annual report review. I'm sorry, I keep.
No, it's okay.
Just because I think I get it done, I think I can just jump on it, so go ahead.
So I sent this out for you to look at. This is, we got the review back from Springbrook, and so this is what I'm now putting out to you so that you can take a look at it. Did anyone have any questions from their review?
So I was trying, so basically, I mean, this looked very much like what you went through with us in September. Right, but I didn't see what's different, what notes, what did they have to say that's different?
Well, the vast majority of things that they asked me to do were actually just like, you know, make your margins smaller and like clean up your tables, because if you extended the table out, I had boxes where there was a lot of text, and so it was uneven. I mean, it's very simple things like that was the vast majority of it. They double checked my figures on, long-term liabilities. They said, well, you don't need these numbers that you have here for part of the, other post-employment benefits. So that was kind of what they did. There were some places where you actually don't need all of this, and I poked back and said, well, the auditor said they wanted that during the audit, so maybe we don't need it, but because they said that, even if it's because we have a new auditor or whatever that might be, I left it there, because that was a direct request from the auditor during the last audit, so that's about the size of that. But by and large, the vast majority of things they asked me to do were very, very little adjustments, which is good. So I don't have any like big number changes to report to you. Just mostly what they asked me to change was actually, I think all but one of the things they asked me to change were all just in the notes section to make it clearer and to make sure everything matched, to make sure that things were properly explained, but the vast majority of it was just the right word for it. Making sure it was in the right place, you know, is what I was trying to convey.
Okay.
So, is this helpful, was it helpful to do that so
To
that?
do the review,
Yeah, so for that, so that, I mean, we did it special, we're not gonna normally
Right,
do
we're not gonna
that, just
normally
because
do
we're coming up on the audit cycle.
I
Was it
think-
worth it, do you think?
I do for a couple of reasons. One, it reinforces that the changes were made that they would want to see. And two, the old annual reviews, like that's your template for next year, right? So going forward, that will definitely help Kinda and, you know, just take care of a great deal of having to reinvent the wheel for her.
And how much did they end up charging us for that?
$900.
Oh, so less than we budgeted for.
I think
we
that was
said we would
about
go up
it.
to 2,000.
Yeah, but you know, they're also, you know, in the past I have taken classes too, that would help get this done, and last year I was told there was no class. And then at the last minute, they did a class anyway, I guess there had been enough requests for it. So there's also that option too, going forward, but anyway.
Well, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. I'm gonna send this around, that you've seen it and approved it. I didn't send that around originally because we hadn't had our review yet. So that's for all the council members to sign.
You could be number one.
Somebody has to be number one. So,
Okay. All right, well, transducer. I think I know what it is. Please don't tell us.
So the well transducer is basically just a electronic sensor that's gonna hopefully go down our well if you guys approve this. I know it's less than the maximum that I'm allowed to spend before I ask you. But there's a few variables in this, but it's basically just a pressure sensor that goes into your well that measures your well depth above it. So we can tell basically how deep our water is in our well. Right now we're using a blowdown system, so we're pumping air actively down into the well, and then it measures the resistance. And it's very inaccurate because you have to keep the compressor at a constant 50 PSI. If it loses pressure, it adjusts that level. If it raises pressure, it adjusts that level. So it's very inaccurate. So these two options are pretty close to each other. And then I asked the two contractors if this was installed, all said and done, and they said basically it's like a 3-hour job. So we'd be paying plus 3 hours of labor for each, and then it would be drive time. So that's why I'm kind of asking you, because this number is basically just for the sensor and what's going to go down into the well. I don't have exact numbers on what's the drive time and what's the 3 hours of labor. And it could take longer. So it could take an hour, it could take 5 hours, just depending. But the reason why I want to do this is because the last time that we had our well pump replaced in the south well, they stuck a camera all the way 300 feet down and gave us a little zip drive of the picture or the video, and it has a lot of growth in there. It's not like bad growth, it's just what you would expect when you're pumping oxygen into a well. It introduces growth. So in order to cut that down, I wanted to kind of get this, because the other option is in a couple of years, if our well casing ends up getting clogged shut because of the growth, then we actually have to literally pull that pump all the way back out, which is time consuming, and then shove basically a cleaner head down there to bust all that stuff loose. And that's kind of a 50-50 whether it's going to work or not.
Was it moss and stuff like that?
It's not moss, it's just
iron bacteria.
yeah, iron bacteria and stuff like that. If we were to clean it, then it is a big thing to clean it and then flush all the stuff, all the sediment that basically comes off it, because you have to pump it and do tests on it until it runs clean and that sediment is not floating all over in the water down there.
That's only, how deep is the well? You said 300 feet?
Roughly 300. I have the exact measurement on my whiteboard in my office, but it's around 300.
I was thinking it was shallow, deeper than that, but one down there by the one that has the border, is that much deeper?
Truax is deeper, yes. Truax is offline right now for the winter time, but that is our major pumper when it is summertime, because that thing pumps at 900 gallons a minute. This one over here is 250 gallons per minute.
Wow.
So there's a vast difference on how much Truax can pump versus how much the South Well can pump. But since we aren't using that much water right now, I think we're using around 117,000 gallons every 2 days. So this well is more than capable.
How big is the reserve cistern, or whatever I call it?
The reservoir?
Yeah.
The calculation is 429,000 gallons.
That's a lot.
So what you're saying, Stephen, is over time, this thing's gonna be cost effective to put the transducer in there, save us time and a lot of labor.
Yeah, it'll help preserve the well, because we won't be pumping the oxygen actively down there, introducing growth.
Then we won't have all dirty water when you're trying to flush it.
The transducer stops that? Is that?
Yeah, because basically you'll take the whole oxygen piece out of the equation, and then you'll be just introducing. It's basically like a steel rod about this long, it looks like, and then wires from that up. So basically, it's just like a big giant sensor.
That's
The best way to put that is it's just like your hot water tank has got that cathode.
Yeah.
Thing.
So that stays there all the time?
How often do you check them?
I check it once a day when I do all my other reporting.
And this will have a little, you'll send it to your phone, or?
No, it's just basically replacing the oxygen one that we have, so it goes right into my digital display out there.
Put it online, all right.
It's more accurate, that's the big thing.
So is the transducer cost much?
So one of these estimates is $1,665, and then the other one is $1,699.43. So it's $2,000, $3,000, but the reason why I'm bringing this to you is because it is a major change in the well system, and we don't have all the variables on installing it yet. It's not like pulling a pump where it's gonna be outrageous. It's just a matter of whether it's gonna be $1,000 or $2,000 for labor and then drive time and everything.
So you think the labor might be that much?
No, I mean, it could be less. It could be like $600, but I'd rather overestimate for you guys than underestimate, and then.
Is that a pretty common thing to have that in the well?
In newer wells, yeah. We can't do it in the Truax one because it has a different pump drive assembly powering it. So there's no room to put a conduit down.
So it's only on the one well.
Pete, the good thing, if they're not putting the blowing the well dry, is what I used to refer to it when I was before, we're not oxygenating that water, so therefore the iron rust is gonna dissipate or go away, and that's where we're gonna have a big savings.
Makes good sense. It makes good sense. I'm just trying to see what, that's a major change, and sounds like a great idea, and sounds like a way to solve a lot of problems without a lot of hassle.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what Pump Specialties recommended when they put the camera down the well, so.
One last question. When was the well put in?
I don't know when the well was put in. I would have to research that in my documents, but the newest motor was put in last year.
Okay.
So.
I think it was 2010 that they did it.
2010?
2010 they did the south well.
Okay, sounds like you got our approval.
You need that.
So you don't, we're not voting, you haven't put anything in front of us, so we're not voting.
Oh,
this up.
sorry, I thought you had this piece of paper.
Did we have it in here? Oh,
Okay. Well, you can pass these around there.
so do we need to,
Submit it, so we
Are
approve it.
these within the limits of what you can spend?
Yeah, I'm just
saying he doesn't know what the
Right,
additional.
but I'm just.
Right. I'm just
It's
bringing
under
this for
5,000.
transparency purposes.
Well, it sounds like he's gonna be underneath that, so my thought is go ahead and do it.
So let's go ahead and do it.
These two contractors also, one of the contractors is the pump specialist that has the lift station pumps, or gave, we bought the lift station pumps through. Really nice guy. Every time I call him, he picks up. The other guy is our electrical, I don't know what you call him, because he does a lot more than just wiring light switches. Like, he programs the whole lift station. So he's like an electrical engineer, but he's also a good guy, and he also picks up the phone whenever I call him.
For
So
budget, we don't need to have a motion to approve that.
yeah, I'm just, if you guys give me a yay, nay, I just wanted to see if you guys had any opposition to that.
Okay. Sounds like.
and it doesn't change any permitting, or there's no other strings, it's just fixing.
Yeah, it's just taking the
Operating it
oxygen
better.
out and then putting the sensor in.
Great. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Stephen. All right, at this point, we're gonna go to executive session. I expect this to last till 20 after. Got it? For the purpose of, yes,
All right, that's Tekoa. Right.
yes. Okay. Yeah, I would have waited, but it gets a little uglier as it gets longer.
Actually, he's getting very uncomfortable.
No.
I have to walk away. I don't know.
I got your container all washed out and ready. I just got it.
Personnel qualifications, you can't discuss.
Right down to the last crumb.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go have some tobacco and then I might not be back, but I'm not. That's good night. Good night, guys.
Okay, tell me what bone that was.
Or his patella tendon.
They can do one at once, but they can talk to one here and one there and one there and one there. Then they can talk to that one and then that one call another one, that one call.
So he was trying to pick himself up out of his chair and then shift out.
Otherwise.
It was just all that strain right here in the pocket.
Is that when they were leaving the school?
I didn't hear if it was after school or when he got home, but it was sometime that afternoon. But yeah, so it sounds like there's two different types of surgeries they can do. There's one that's pretty minimal, we'll just do like a basic suture on it to try and hold it together, and it wasn't enough. And it just wasn't enough to hold that tendon together. And so when he did it, it popped clean. So they went in and did a very invasive one to hold it in place. And the benefit is hopefully it's gonna hold it in place, but they also told him that if he ever pops it again, he's gonna know.
It's kind of it's a very unusual thing, you know, I've never seen, the attorney doesn't work for the negotiating committee.
Oh, shopping all day.
And so it's really weird to sit here, like, people holding up the invoices and normally all of that stuff goes to this office. But we're new to the whole.
I'm pretty good at sitting.
I do
that
Well, right, and there's special rules about stuff, but it's still weird because it's still the same as the customer, not the shop or council specifically.
They have already appointed this year. They have the ability to approve this contract.
Right, actually, there's the mayor's job to make sure the budget is followed. Not, it's actually not the council's job, they approve the budget, but then it was literally the mayor's job to make sure that it was being followed. Anyway,
Your driving to school hasn't been too bad, except for that one couple days.
Yeah, it's been too bad. And then last week they canceled school on Thursday because they couldn't, up on Agency Road was so bad they couldn't get half our kids, so they just canceled school.
I mean, what you.
You know, I was saying, it's kind of tough when you got your lessons all planned out. And you can't do it, especially with little first graders, I'm sure.
And see, I was just like, oh, bummer, no school. And I just rolled over and went back to bed.
Oh, shucks.
And I got up, I vacuumed the whole downstairs, cleaned the kitchen, cleaned my fireplace, then I sat, wrote a test, did all my review game for my kids, did some lesson plans, hung out with my dog.
Hey, pretty productive day.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to get up, get my steps in, and I need to try and make something productive with my life for the day.
It's because they canceled school, so they canceled on today. Steve.
So I haven't been able to reach that, because on Monday we were planning.
Thank you.
They were sorry to hear about that.
Looking at it, and so
Yeah.
tomorrow
It was,
been
Been a couple months, but then we had a wedding mixed in there too, so.
As they had a little bit of joy in the.
Yeah, Maria felt a little bad, and I said, well, how would you know 6 months ago that she was gonna die, you know?
And the one guy was telling me.
Yeah.
No, she's where she is, she's taking Jesus' arms. So
As I figured.
Sammy, our daughter-in-law is still
Twinkle.
having a tough
I
time.
wanted so
Very
bad.
understandable.
well, the boys are probably not really understanding.
Yeah, 'cause they weren't-
Right.
They weren't really connected to her, because, you know, they saw her a few times,
I can't just go pick
so-
what I like.
but they've got her grave site all decorated up and everything, so.
Well, I kind of wondered about that one.
Like a beautiful collection.
My folks were left out of it.
I
I went down to saw them on, Monday,
They're
and
set up.
we're all like,
They do a
what
little.
if they say something?
They'll do.
Should we apologize? Well, maybe they won't even notice. Yeah, but they're 91, so Moscow.
They already pre.
They're, it used to be good Sam,
Yeah.
For you, so.
Exactly.
and it's
I will, I
changed
will
hands
do
a time or two,
the
so
sets.
they're in one of the
I'll do some
duplexes.
sets, and then I'll do individual, because I know like me, I like to just take whatever, and put it together, you know, whatever.
Well, did I get my point across?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
So.
Will
I'm-
anything be
I
done?
know I have the higher end.
Well,
The higher
I have on good
end, I also
authority
wanna
that
try and find
something
some
will be done.
lower middle, and material.
Right.
No, it's
So you
only
wanted to make
one
sure
is
it was
required.
accessible for beginners.
But for so long, we had the
Right.
two,
Nice.
But,
so,
like I say, if we have something that we'd like to comment at the end of the meeting,
What's that guy's name again?
and then have to wait until,
I guess,
you know, 2 weeks later till the next meeting, it's not really fair to us.
and now I
Our
can,
voice away.
Yeah. so this is unusual, you know, we're having this meeting now, it's gonna be 3 weeks.
The second, yeah, the second,
Yeah, it's gonna be a long time for the next meeting.
gives them some feedback, you think they want it or something.
Well, no, see, right there said, oh, sometimes it's contentious, so they don't, that's exactly what they don't want.
There's certain ones that do not want. Consider the IQ.
Yeah, I know it,
What did you say?
I know.
I don't know how to spell. Well, there's certain ones that do not want us to have that kind of rebut anything.
Right, yeah.
Because if you donate,
That's why my dad comes into that.
No.
I'm really writing hard on that piece of paper. This whole body ain't what it used to be.
So talking about Ari, I just thought about this, so Derek called me up the other day and said, hey, guess how much
Try to finish everything.
the
up
Seattle
last
Children's
week and
stay,
then maybe come in.
so just that part of it, which is a lot.
Yeah.
You know, round the clock care, somebody standing there watching the whole time, you know.
You know, I'm trying to finish.
I guess
this up,
750,000.
it's getting more and more and more, so.
It was $1,043,000 for just that part. Doesn't count Sacred Heart for 2 or 3 weeks, the flight over.
No, it is their funds to help pay for that.
So he's military.
Okay.
So they, somebody did a GoFundMe, so they have, and I don't know where
Yeah,
that's
I know
at.
somebody go find it.
But with the military, I mean, I asked him what the copay is, and he goes,
And,
strike
then I
nothing.
can just help her get
So there was one
more
bill,
into the things and the new things.
there was one thing he's still trying to get worked out, but yeah, shouldn't be any cost for that.
So she was 7 weeks. And then we have this lady, well, Evelyn Fletcher from Tekoa. She just passed away, 102 years old. So it just, you know, yeah.
So how is she related to
She
the
was
Fletcher?
David Fletcher's mother.
Okay.
I don't know.
And Dave's been gone a couple of years? Is it even that long?
No,
And how old was he?
well, his wife was the same age as me, but she'll be she was just 79 in December, so
Okay.
I would say he's 89.
I know.
Okay.
Or was 80. And then Jonathan that passed away was his oldest
They
son.
would have been concerned about that.
John?
John Fletcher, Jonathan Fletcher, lived up on the hill behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed.
I
It
don't
was
know.
all quiet.
They were,
But he had
that's,
cancer.
I mean, that's on.
Yeah.
He was a quiet guy.
passed. He passed not a whole, he was in my oldest daughter's class. And he went by Sean in class. So I always called him Sean, but his given name was Jonathan. And-
So Lydia's dead, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I never even knew that. And how long ago was that?
Shortly, shortly after he was
I never knew that.
Yeah.
So are they still in town?
Yeah, they live up on the hill behind me.
Yeah, I know where they're at,
Yeah. Lydia's in Texas.
yeah.
Yeah, but, and one of the girls lives in the apartments above the restaurant.
Oh, okay.
My mom and her name. But, then Patricia is the mom. And then we've got Caleb, the only boy, and he's a Down syndrome.
Okay.
boy.
Oh,
She
gee.
Oh, gosh, there was
came over to WSU for school.
5 girls, I think.
And then
Lydia, he
Oh,
was
Lydia.
youngest at the time. She was 25 that came in
Okay.
November, so. I used to babysit dad when they were tiny tots. Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I
Yeah,
never
everything,
knew.
they didn't have a service and they didn't, and in the obituary for Evelyn, it just said, it did mention that her oldest son, David had passed, and her oldest
Most of his
grandson.
family's from.
I don't know what the deal is, if
Oh,
he
sure,
didn't want anything publicized
Chandler.
about his death.
No,
His grandpa.
so no funeral service of any kind.
So that's hard to have closure.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
And Lydia was able to get here from Texas just a few hours before he passed, so she was able to see what he passed for.
He was there, and so.
Where was he at when he died?
At home.
And then he worked up there in Colville.
Well, see, I don't know, it's getting more and more where we're having a lot more people who just don't want the services. Like, like my dad lived in the big house with my sister, and she's selling, and so I just helped him relocate down to Burley.
Anyway,
And while we were there,
Over time,
we have
they're
no
definitely
filter, so
lighter.
my grandma just has her DNR like taped on the front of the fridge, and then she has another copy taped on one closet.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, you got the DNR posted, what do you want? She's like, oh, you're gonna bury me here, it's all paid for, you just need to come down. She's like, don't do a service, she's like, I just want you guys to show up at the, she's like, just kick me in the hole.
My husband, when he passed, he says, I just want you to dig a hole out back, get me in head first, around the water can kiss my skin.
That's essentially what
She says, honey, we can't do that.
It's essentially what she said too.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And then, bless her heart, my aunt, I was like, well, what about you? I'm like, what do you want? She's like, well, I have a DNR. I'm like, you have a printed DNR? She's like, no. I'm like, get it printed. Otherwise, if someone shows up at the house, then they ain't gonna follow it.
Well, I don't want a service or anything.
I know.
I had hospice coming in. And so they told him, they says, you know, the service is for the family.
Mhm.
You know, you're not gonna be here, but the family needs that for closure. So we had a nice service.
Everybody else in the store.
Well,
I mean, announced it.
She was up in Coeur d'Alene this afternoon, getting her oil changed, and it was just gonna be too late.
I was up there this morning, so.
She is, she's smart.
I thought she goes, I'm on, this might be on, so.
Yes. Yes, and she still quotes professional.
Yesterday was a
Tomorrow
long
we got
day.
that.
That's a long day.
I'm sure she's counting the days.
We all know who's coming in as the treasurer, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, I don't know if there's no reason to stay. Probably not, because they just have to approve her to do all the
Right.
fine
Banking
stuff.
and credit card and all that.
More than enough. Okay, come.
Da, da.
See, you just had to-
I said, we just needed to fly. I just need some flags. Hey, Adam. Good, Mike. We just need some flags. When you guys come back into the executive session. flags.
Noisemakers.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I like that. It's uses trauma.
We gotta get these clocks in there.
2.5 weeks.
Okay, that'd be show that we come out at 8:24.
I thought this one was a 5-minute difference.
Aye, I guess, okay, we come out of executive session. All right, at this point, we'll go to, F, excuse me. And talk to our confirmation in the clerk. Thank you, credit card authorization, Yep,
So do you have to say that you're planning and then you'll make a motion? Or you just ask us and then we have to vote? You just need a majority vote if you're appointed.
okay, so the motion
No, I can't make a motion, yes.
No, but you have to tell us who your appointment is, and then we make the
Okay,
motion.
the recommendation is that we hire Kinder Browning as our clerk treasurer. And pay her at $32 an hour and start her with 3 weeks paid vacation. That's my recommendation. Okay? And authorize the clerk training for Linda until she's up and running at $35 an hour. Okay, that's my recommendation. I'll accept the motion to accept that or to amend it as you would want.
Well, you got them together.
Well, so
Yeah.
I'd first like to motion that we accept the appointment of Kenda Browning as clerk treasurer.
I'll second that.
Okay, let's move in second. We'll run this through 3 at a time. That's fine. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Now for the next motion, do we have any more?
I'd like the motion that we compensate Kenda at $32 an hour and 3 weeks of vacation for this year.
Okay, paid vacation, all right. Is there a second?
I'm second that.
Okay, keep seconding. Any discussion?
I think that 3 weeks is too much.
Okay,
Start off, but
okay, gotcha. Thanks, Dan. Okay, all those in favor of the motion that says we start at 32 an hour and 3 weeks of vacation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 5, and 2. Okay, 5 in favor, motion passes. All right, anything else at this point?
And then you're asking for $35 an hour for Eliza to come in for training.
Right.
And I would say that we appreciate that you're willing to do that. Eliza, I would say that it would be at her same rate of pay to come in.
Excuse me, it's not even worth voting. The last 2 people who trained here were paid $35.
Well, that's what I don't know for
I
sure.
thought you said at my same rate of pay.
Well, it's
which is
your-
like $5
I don't
an
know
hour
that.
less.
I don't know that we did that because I know that when Kevin, well, so excuse me, the tone just seems unnecessary, I'm just, that is a discussion.
Yeah.
I know that when we hired Kevin to come back in to help, that it was at his same rate of pay. So that, I just thought that was the standard. So it is, and it was 4 years ago that we had Candace, I don't remember, so that's just why I thought the standard was to have somebody come back in at their same rate of pay.
I would, you made a motion of 32?
Well, we can make it 30. I don't know what your rate of pay is, Eliza.
It's $30.68.
So I've heard, because when you told us it was 33 a few last month, Roy said it was
No, I said
31,
it was
32, and now
$30
it's 30.
I thought it was $30.56 an hour, but it's $30.68 an hour.
So I'm sorry, I've heard a lot of different numbers, so. So I guess I will say 32. I don't know, I'd have to see it in writing. I just, we brought in people before.
Motion 32, I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor that says we will compensate clerk training at 32 an hour.
Eliza, do you have something to show me that is 35?
I could show you the minutes, I could show you pay stubs. And the council voted for both Kinda to be compensated at 35 and Cheryl Leffer to be compensated at $35 an hour.
I'm sorry, it was 4 or 5 years ago. Roy was on that council, I was on that council, different people were here, so I don't remember.
before my time.
Okay, well, I'm gonna withdraw, I'm not gonna make that motion and I'm not gonna vote on it because I just
Why
know
is
what
that?
the standard has been and I feel like we've been backed into a corner here, not meaning to offend, I like to see things in writing.
So you wouldn't go for 32 then?
You guys, somebody else make the motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we pay reimbursement for $32 an hour.
I'll second that again.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none?
I'm sorry, did Councilman Martin second that?
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of $32 an hour compensating clerk treasurer training, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So we've got 2 against,
And then I'm abstaining.
and you're in favor of that, so we've got 4 in favor and 2 against. Okay, motion passes. Okay. All right. We proceed on fee resolution 9926. Okay,
The only change on this is just the connection into the water.
With what?
it's the water fee connections.
Oh,
Okay, we're at $4 grand or whatever it is.
So I'll make a motion to pass resolution 99-36, which is the payments or costs for doing business with the city.
So this is one that we passed, it's just formalized as a resolution.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. For water rates, for water and sewer, water connection. All right, it's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Reed, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'm
Opposed,
opposed.
says.
I was opposed before, I'm still
You're
opposed.
opposed, all right.
I think it's-
Motion passes 6-1. Okay,
Why are you opposed?
Because Stephen came and asked us for 4,000, we already had this discussion. I know they thought 5,000 would be, and I just don't, there's so many things are going up, I just don't want to raise rates right now. I understand eventually we may need to do it, but
Okay.
that's fine,
I'm just kidding.
we can live with it.
okay, we gotta move on. Mayor Pro Tem and Finance Office, let's attack Finance Officer first. Anybody have any thoughts?
I just I'm trying to understand if the role of finance officer is really serving us well. I don't remember when that came in place. I've asked others and they don't remember it being part of the council. I think that appreciate what Mike has done in that role, but since having talked to the auditor's office, a lot of things we've learned, I think it really behooves the council to all of us to really be sure that we are reading our packets, being up on things. I know different people, I believe maybe Mark, is it you that had some discussion with MRC, so maybe you can shed some light on, different communities do it different ways, but I just kind of wonder if we could maybe should take a break from it.
We need to change our council policies and procedures down.
Yeah,
We've
we
always
certainly can do that.
We've
But
always had a
that's what
finance
we have to
officer.
know.
Well, I don't know, I've talked to
Right.
other people and they said that they didn't, or the suggestion is that we do 2 people
yeah.
from the
that was
council,
what they wanted.
to be on there.
Certainly. I got no problem.
I feel like there had become kind of a tendency to lean on one person, and that sometimes I think it felt like it was hard to get all the information, or, Mike, you're really good if we asked you for things, but, I just feel like the whole council needs to really be, on top of making sure that, it's a role for everybody. I had talks with Jennifer Robinson about this and also MRSC when Oscar Ray was there. And just so that it's really understood that having a financial officer doesn't put that person in a higher status or give them authority to make decisions or to be leaned on by the mayor in a way that other council members wouldn't be informed
I agree.
or leaned on. So I just think we need to adjust it one way or another, either take a break from it or have 2 council
I
members
think
on it.
you're a little fuzzy on what the definition is. I'm not sure leaning on Mike has ever happened. There may be other things that we've had conversations out, but that is not one of them. To me, in my knowledge, Mike is doing the job that he's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to look at the reconciliations, and it's his job to to go through them and to reconcile and to look at them and to verify that everything is on the up and up. Now, if you want to have an additional in there, I don't have any problem with that. In fact, maybe that would help. I don't know what you're insinuating.
I'm not, Roy, you're twisting the words then. I'm not insinuating anything. I'm taking conversations that I've had with the auditor's office.
Okay.
And with a huge exhortation there that the council has an obligation, each member of the council, to make sure that we are looking over financial statements,
Certainly.
being willing to ask questions about financial statements. And I know that early on in the council, it was really easy for me to just lean on Mike or lean on others because I didn't like numbers, I didn't know, and I don't think that served the citizens well or my role well. And I put that challenge out to all the council members that we can't just lean on one person. And it's, the role isn't to come in with suspicion or anything like that. The role is to come in to make sure that we are asking questions about numbers, understanding budgets, learning all of that. And so that's just my opinion.
Okay, that stuff is always available.
Well, you would, yeah, I guess so.
I gotta give my.
Well, I asked for credit card statements. But
Yeah, that was-
but anyway, so I just, maybe we could just delay, have everybody think about this if they would like, if there's two people that would like to do it. And
I guess I'm trying to get clear of what you want.
I either want to eliminate the role or to bring two council members on this, my suggestion to the council.
I'll second that.
Well,
I don't
I'm not
know.
making an motion, I'm just making it a discussion.
I do think two would be good. I know for a while there, Mike, I know you got involved in going a lot, City Hall. And we didn't really get much of a reports for a long time.
It's not his job to give you
For
reports.
us to the council. He let us know how things are going. I appreciate when he got it. For us, it is important that Mike let the council know what's going on in there, plus or minus. And I think you've done a good job with that. But I do think times change, as we all said. I do think we gotta have two. And I would have, I would share the load. I do think it's a good idea.
I respectfully decline.
You do.
Yeah, it's time for somebody else to do it. The thing you need to remember, if you're going over those budgets, at the end of when you review them, you have to sign a document that says they're true and correct.
Okay.
Sign and date. I would caution you to be really careful. Okay.
Okay, so who's gonna?
Would you be interested in filling that position?
No, I just had a question. When you're saying to eliminate it, you're saying to do away with that position altogether?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
who would keep up with the finances then?
all of us. I mean,
Well, you should anyway.
right.
Right. The auditor said
But the position is so that one person, there's not a place for 7 people to sign. There's a place for one. And he's responsible for it. Now, what you guys decide to do is up to you. If you want to come in and access it, for instance, escapes me, Mike, what was your timeline as far as when you were coming in? What time I'm moving?
It varied. It was depending on when the reports were available.
Okay.
Sometimes I got them 1 month at a time, sometimes 2, depending on my schedule.
Certainly.
But you still got a very, if I have a better term, distinct checklist that you have to go through. There are specific things you have to look at that are fraud indicators or theft indicators, and that's a considerable amount of training. But I still am going to step back because I think you guys need to learn about it. The other thing we have to do, if we're going to change this, the first thing we have to do is change our council policies and procedures.
So if we do 2, we gotta change this.
You still got to change the.
Do.
Sure.
But I think having 2 is really.
It doesn't matter to me. I'm just saying that if we're going to do it right, we got to jump through the hoops.
Because the state's really climbing down.
Who did it when you were on the council for 2
I did.
years? You were the one?
Mhm.
It's funny because I said she didn't remember anybody in that role, but maybe she thought of it.
Well, it wasn't under as much scrutiny as this one is.
Well, this isn't meant to be scrutiny.
No,
it's
no,
just
I'm
trying-
just saying how it was done. I mean, Kinda presented me with the numbers, and I looked at them, not nearly to the extent that Mike does. I'll be honest with that. nor was I asked to. Okay,
But did you carry that official role?
yes,
Okay. Because, so when we bring up the policy
some of the
manual,
time, I'm not saying for the whole time, I mean, I can't remember the last couple of years.
so if you remember when we went through the policy manual, we were the ones, and I asked Jennifer about that, and that's why we put it in, because she wasn't familiar. When we talked, she said, I don't know what this is. And so remember, we had to sit here and describe to her.
And we can change it, that's not the issue, that's the starting point for any changes we wish to make.
Sure. Well, could we maybe postpone this till next month? Or we continue in this role for now, for one more month?
No, I resign.
You don't wanna do it?
Yeah, well, let's postpone the decision making till what, next month? Okay, so we can get some thoughts on it.
Till February.
Well, I'm gonna say Mike and Reed.
Mike doesn't wanna do it. He said no.
He's just said that.
I thought Mike did a dang good job.
Yeah, I'm not saying you didn't do a good job, Mike. That wasn't an issue at
He
all.
let us know.
I
All right.
knew you that
We're
more
gonna
people
come back
need to
to-
get
We'll
involved.
come back the 2nd of February and figure out something then, all right? All right, pro tem,
I nominate David. I think Dave's done a good job all this time. You haven't exactly been gone, hadn't covered for you, but he's been there and he's had questions. He's able to give me some answers. And he's got expertise in a lot of areas that we need, especially with the plant coming in. And
okay. Do I hear a motion to that effect or not? Do I hear any other thoughts? How's that? Do I hear any other suggestions at this point? I believe this sounds like a slam dunk. So all those in favor of,
Well, you need a second. I'll second it.
do I hear a motion? Been moved and seconded that Dave be the pro tem. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, announcements and reports. I can't think of anything that I have at this point. There's been a lot. I can't remember how much has happened since the last meeting or even today. So,
Maybe you're going to your conference next week.
yes, that'll be Tuesday morning. I'll be back Thursday night. Okay. Oh, we know, we did announce that we have the road chip seal, the road project that's gonna happen next summer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we did announce that to you guys.
Yes.
It's $1 million project or some damn thing, right? So they were, in fact, Matt was down with Hunter, they were kind of looking it over today as we were around. Okay. Eliza, do you have something, anything? I withhold the right to add in if I think of something, right?
I believe I said that the cybersecurity grant was partway through process. It's through the state level and now has to be approved federally. That is supposed to happen in the next 4 weeks approximately. It takes me a minute to think and write at the same time.
Do we need to do anything different on the banking and credit card authorization? Do we need to approve that or?
You should approve that,
Okay.
so that we can get Kendall on the banking account and have a credit card approved. So if you would
Okay.
do that, I would appreciate
All
it.
right, sorry about that, guys. I guess that's the one.
That has to be an amendment.
Yes.
So do you want a motion? then?
Yep, we need a motion.
So then I make a motion that we add Kinder Brownie to our credit card and bank statements.
Okay.
Or however it needs to be worded.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great, thank you. All right. Now back. Sorry. Okay, finish typing.
For the same amount as the current credit card.
Yes.
Does she have to go in the checking account too?
That's part of being added to the bank. The bank.
So
So anyway, the cybersecurity grant, working with Kendra now to get her up to speed. Start the bulk of that tomorrow. And I respectfully decline to do the training for $32 an hour when the last two trainers have been paid $35. I'm certainly open to phone calls from Kendra, but I think that my time is incredibly valuable, and I'm just not going to do that.
Mike?
No.
Reed?
Yes. I want to thank the council for pushing the meeting to tonight instead of last night so that I could attend the fire department meeting. It was very, very informative. Got a good walkthrough with Donovan on the trucks. He has 5 trucks. 1 is city-owned and 4 are from the county. I thought maybe he was going to be here tonight, but possibly at the next meeting. He wants to get rid of the city truck because it is 1975 or something like that. It's only got 6,000 miles on it. It's not being used that much. But he hasn't rolled it out of the station for a run in 2 years because of the mechanical problems he's having with it. It has a bad alternator right now, and they just got through fixing something else when the alternator bracket broke on it. But in my professional opinion as a firefighter, it is pretty much useless in today's firefighting world. You could use it for an automobile fire or a small brush fire. It only has a 300-gallon pump or 300-gallon tank on it. If you use one, which is the smallest line, an 1.5-inch line, that's a 100-gallon a minute nozzle. If you run a second nozzle into a fire, that's 200 gallons a minute. So you've got a minute and a half that you're going to be able to use that truck on a fire, which is useless. If you hook 2.5 line to a hydrant, which I think the standard pressure is like 30 pounds of pressure coming out of the hydrant.
We're about 45.
45, still 45, 60, do a 2.5-inch line, and you're running 3 inches at 100 pounds. The hydrant's not going to be able to support that truck.
They don't use it.
No, but I'm saying it is pretty much useless for anything but a backup or something like
Is that
that.
the one that they have to Easter Bunny Santa Claus on?
That I don't know.
No, it's
It's a small,
it's a
old pickup.
70s, 80s Chevy.
It's a 75.
The carburetor was out on it, and I don't know, at some point, I talked to Donovan about getting it over there to Schindler's. Listen, it's parked in the middle.
Yeah, it's in the middle.
Yeah, and it's out of the way, but, I talked to Donovan. It would be a spare, if something happened and trucks are out, it would still pump water.
Yeah.
But.
It's not the one you have parked out there by the run pile, is it?
No, because it doesn't run.
So, we can fix it up and salvage it or something, or just leave it over there, but as a backup.
Washing streets.
Yeah, or surplus or whatever. They did get their new radios in, really, really good price on them. I think he said they only paid like $5,000 for all 15 of them, whereas if he had gone through Spokane and bought them at the radio store, they would run close to $75,000. And these new radios, the problem they've had with the radios up till now is when they did a mutual aid with Latop, DNR, the tribe, they could not communicate with any of them.
Right.
And so they had no clue what was going on, where they were needed, if they needed to evacuate or whatever. Whereas with these new radios, they can, what he said, clone everybody else's radio and be in contact with everybody else. They just got them in, they were still in boxes beside me. So they were all excited about that. And again, the county is going to give them another truck. It's a smaller truck, kind of a brush truck, but it's not jacked up like the other brush trucks they have. It won't be able to go up the hill and everything else, but it is four-wheel drive, and I don't remember what the gallons that it holds. But the county is giving them that other truck, according to Donovan.
We'll make it look crowded in there.
Well, that's the reason the old one had to come out for that. And then they do have, they do have 11 firefighters. And I asked them, that's kind of a small amount, having the 5 rigs and, 2 per rig, whatever, but he said that is the perfect amount for everything that they run pretty much. The little firefighters are enough. So, but, thank you.
Thanks for your work. Yep. Michelle?
Two things. One, for the Parks Department, they are coming up on their levy that they'll be running in February. I believe that ballot's come out here in about a week and a half or so. With passing that levy, we have to pass it at 60%. That unlocks the money that was already inadvertently put into an account. Taxpayers won't have to pay on that, but we have to pass the levy in order to get that money we've already paid for put to use. So that levy is really important to our community. As far as that goes, the school is running a levy, and they're not asking for new taxes or anything. They're just asking, there's just the normal operational. So both those are going to be on the February ballot there that are important to us. And then my other thing was, I guess I could ask during your reports, is where I've been asked a couple of times about the RV that's down by the church that has come into question before, the trailer down there. They're coming up on their 6 month, is that February that they're coming up, or should it have been this month?
I kind of think it is, but I'll research that.
I did notice, I did look, when they asked, I went to look just to see, and it did look like the awning's no longer leaning on the neighbor's fence, which is a great thing, but I personally am not seeing any signs of foundation being put in or anything, and which has sort of been the marker for us approving other people to have beyond their continuation. So I don't know if you'll be in conversation with them or if they've reached out to you.
I will find out the dates, and I'll know more by the 1st of February. How's that?
Sounds good. That's all.
Okay, Pete?
Dovetailing yours, I think the feeling was that if 6 months rolled out, there wasn't any change, we weren't going to improve it. And I think you knew that already. So other than that, no, I'm good.
Dan? Marge?
The what I can add on to hers about the pool levy, she was saying Saturday that she has to have 150 votes or something to even be considered, even if they get the votes. You have to have so many percentage, even if there are no votes, in order, if you get to 60.
210 is what I thought I saw somewhere, but yeah. There's a
Okay,
certain
yeah, they have to have
amount.
so many votes to come in
Yeah.
order, even if they got the 60, to get it, so.
Well, maybe it should be in a newsletter, because I have people ask me, what in the world, what does it mean, and try to explain it to them.
Because I'd
So
be
maybe
up to the
it should be in a
park.
newsletter how to explain, what's
We were supposed to do it for that. Pool was great last year, we really did a lot of work on it.
The newspaper hasn't done a very good job on it, and I don't know how we could do it. All righty, we got no bills to pay?
No, because we did the 13th month, and so December won't be closed out until after the 20th.
All right. At this point, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Just real quick question, we haven't had a calendar for next year's, or this year's meetings.
Right.
So
That'll be
in February, we are the 1st, and then the
Second.
other ones.
Second, and then the day after, the following Tuesday, for what I think it's.
So February
President's
2nd, and then the
President's
Tuesday,
President's Day.
because of President's, okay, all right, that's one. All right, I'll
accept the motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second. Moved and seconded, all the first side.
Aye.
I have to ask, what in the world is Paul trying to do? What did I do?